The Council of the City of Long Beach, held Tuesday, January 21st, 2025 at 7 p.m. Whoops. We'll have a roll call. Councilmember Bendo.
Present.
Councilmember Lester.
Here.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Here.
Vice President Fiamora.
Here.
President Finn.
Present.
Let the record indicate the presence of City Manager Dan Creighton and Corporation Counsel Frank DeCranis. We'll now have a salute to the flag.
Please everybody rise, remove your hats, place your hands over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming out on such a cold night. I appreciate watching democracy in action, so hopefully I have a good night tonight. Our city manager will give the city manager's report.
Okay, thank you, Brendan. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for braving this cold evening to be with us here tonight. Although we don't have a lot of agenda items, I anticipate a pretty healthy discussion on a number of items, so I'll keep my remarks pretty brief. Thank you goes out to the MLK Center and all who joined us yesterday to commemorate the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. With the march and ceremony. Despite the frigid temperatures, the event was well attended and it was a fitting tribute to the life and legacy of Dr. King. This past weekend was also the soft opening for the food and beverage concession at the Ice Arena. Combined with the recently opened Pro Shop and both the completed and ongoing renovations, this administration is determined to transform the arena into the vibrant amenity our residents deserve. On Saturday, February 1st, the city will host the annual Snowflake Run. Registration is already open. Please visit longbeachny.gov/races for more information. Plans are already well underway for the 25th annual Polar Bear Splash benefiting the Make-A-Wish Foundation. This is always one of the most fun and well-attended events of the year and really shows the caring and generous nature of our residents. I always say that the best thing about Long Beach is the way the community comes out to support one another. It is truly remarkable and not as common in other places around the country. For more information about this event, please visit longbeachpolarbears.org. Just one quick other note, Sherman Brown Park is expected to start next week. The park will likely be closed through May. So I just want to make that aware to anybody that uses the park. With that, I'll allow us to proceed with the agenda and conclude my city manager report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Let's get going.
Okay, first item this evening is a public hearing for local law amending the charter of the City of Long Beach regarding the planning board.
Okay, so this first item is to amend the charter to include the planning board. This, along with the next item, will legally set up the planning board, a long-awaited necessity for Long Beach. I will have Joe Lupo highlight some of the major changes to the charter and keep him and the rest of the team available for any questions you may have afterwards. Joe, before you start, I'd like to read a note from the Nassau County Department of Nassau County Planning Commission, basically regarding our planning board. They wrote, please be advised that pursuant to section 239 L&M of the General Municipal Law, the above reference amendment to the city's charter was presented to the Nassau County Planning Commission at its January 9th, 2025 meeting. A local determination was issued by the Planning Commission. They gave us an attachment. Should be noted that the commission expressed its strong support of the city's initiative to establish a planning board. In addition to the planning board's stated purpose of facilitating the review of site plans and subdivisions, the commission feels that by establishing a planning board, the city is being proactive in best addressing critical citywide issues that include waterfront revitalization, parking, and the zoning code update, to name a few, in a collaborative manner. So that being said, Joe, do you want to come up and just highlight some of the changes to the charter? And then we'll vote from there.
Good evening, everyone.
I think you used that one.
Oh, okay.
Joe, on top, this way.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So, For the first public hearing, this actually is just really the legislation that creates the planning board. It sets out how the city will appoint its members, how the members will elect their chairperson. And it's really just the foundational information for the planning board. It's really the next public hearing that gets into the meat and potatoes of the actual planning board. So I don't know if you want me to hold off for that.
Hold off for that, Joe.
Okay.
That's it? Okay. So, question from the council.
I don't really have a question. I just, I want to reiterate how happy I am about this because it stops what's been happening in Long Beach with the overdevelopment and whatnot. Can you hear me now? Okay. Well, I'm done with my statement. I was just reiterating how happy I am with this legislation because it stops the overdevelopment in Long Beach and allows things to just not go through the zoning board anymore, but have a planning board with people from the community on the planning board to see if a project fits the vision of the residents of Long Beach and not just have another monstrosity go up. So we're going to get further into it later, Joe, and we'll save that, my comments for that.
John?
Just a couple of quick questions. I agree with Chris. This has been a long time coming. We need this to make sure what development happens to the city aligns with the comprehensive plan. But the appointed members of the planning board go through the 4 hours of training a year they're supposed to get.
Yes.
But is there are there any minimum qualifications for appointment? In other words, do they have to have a certain knowledge level? Can they, whether it's reading a drawing or, do they need any minimum skills to be on the planning board?
Not necessarily, but we're looking for people that have some background understanding of what needs to be developed, but there is no requirement that they have to meet that.
Okay.
No.
And then are there any limits on who can be on the planning board? I mean, I'll take an extreme. Can a developer be on the planning board? Or, because we don't define any limitations, so I mean,
No,
but
I don't.
obviously there may be times where certain, by virtue of their, position, might not be appropriate.
So under the proposed legislation, the only limitation is that no city employees can serve on the
Right.
planning board.
Right. But
But with respect to your question, no. I mean, a developer can apply, right? But now then
I
that
get that. They have
developer
to be
has to
approved and
approved,
everything. I understand
by
that,
the
but-
city manager and then ratified by all of you
Right.
fine folks on the council.
okay. That's it. Thank you.
Roy? I have one comment which sort of echoes what Chris said. Having lived in Long Beach just about my whole life, watching things get built that aren't necessarily in the best interest of the city or the residents. Sometimes it appears that the city's being taken advantage of. I feel that the planning board will be an obstacle to that and perhaps and hopefully really a great resource for the city, for developers, for residents to keep or at least get the city to the vision that all of us aspire to. I know we don't all agree. We have different opinions of the way the city should be, but I think the planning board will be something that will really be helpful to this city going forward. So we'll put it out to the public. Any comments or questions? Yes, I think I recognize you.
I think you do. James Hodge here in our great city. Just want to say I am happy that the city is putting this planning board together. It's been many that has been put together, but one thing I ask is as you put this planning board together, one thing is good that we are all in this city together, and sometimes it is not felt that way depending upon what has been being built or what has been stressed. As I live in North Park, the bulkheading has not been there my whole life. We had rip, rab, and that's what they call it, or just a little rock, so it used to flood there all the time. I know it floods throughout the city of Long Beach in a lot of places, but even on the sunniest day, I found myself in floods. And so I know the biggest area to build will be in North Park and on the bayfront. That's the most property that the city owned back here. So when you're planning, and I know the city will get a lot of money because it's a BOA area, brownfield opportunity, being able to create millions of dollars for the city to get to remediate that whole land over there, so you'll get a lot of money. So when they're building, just keep the community and keep young people and seniors in mind on what you build, so children that go to college and look to come home, they don't have to stay with their parents, but they can have some workforce housing. They can have some housing that they can afford with their new jobs as parents look to push their children on too, but so many live with their children because it's hard times. So again, I've seen many gentrification in the city of Long Beach since I was born, Stop and Shop and many other places throughout Long Beach, but the biggest place in my life experience was Stop and Shop, where a whole block of friends and family members were basically pushed out because a lot of them didn't own the homes. So again, I say, as you get this planning advisory board, let them reflect the whole city of Long Beach, and not just reflect the whole city of Long Beach in diversity, but let all of their hearts care for all of us in this city together. So again, thank you for this time, and thank you for the Planning Advisory Board.
Thank you, James. I agree with you.
I didn't caveat that, Roy. I said I agree with him.
Any other comments? Yes.
Hello, it's Mike Negri. I'm a member of the Planning Advisory Board. I just wanted to make a quick comment. I see there's a lot of people here for probably a different agenda item. Don't want to keep you too long. The Planning Board was a key element of the comprehensive plan that the prior administration put into place. So I would like to thank this administration for continuing that work and moving the city forward in a nonpartisan way to continue to create this planning board, which is going to go a very long way to protect the citizens of this city from things like this multi-million-dollar settlement that we're all paying in our taxes right now. So I wanted to say that. And I really appreciate the work that you guys are doing and that Dan Crichton and the staff here in the city is doing. I urge you to not even think twice about implementing this legislation. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just one point, though, and James said it as well. The Planning Advisory Board will not be the planning board. I know you know that. I know both of you know that. But it's going to be, the Planning Advisory Board will be renamed so there's no confusion between a planning board and a planning advisory board, right? So you understand that, right?
That's correct. That's
Yeah.
all in the legislation. That's all a piece of the legislation.
Right.
The planning board is a completely new entity. It is not the planning advisory board, and
Right.
to avoid any confusion, it will be renamed the land
Right,
use
that really wasn't for you, that was more for the public, so.
Correct.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? Yes?
Good evening, Council, City Manager. My name is Anthony Rector, 115 Connecticut Avenue, Long Beach, New York. And I'm just here to tell you guys that I think the timing is brilliant to have a planning commission. We have the greatest opportunity of our bayfront recreation upon us. This summer, that bulkhead will be completed. And as Mayor Reynolds used to say, that he always thought the bayfront recreation was equal to the beachfront park.
I agree
so
with that.
think about our amazing boardwalk and the opportunities we have to reestablish access for everyone to the water. So I commend you to micromanage that opportunity and get it right for the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, we'll close that one. Thank you.
Our second item is a public hearing for an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding planning and zoning generally.
So this item, along with the last item, gets into the meat and potatoes, I guess, of the planning board for Long Beach. Whereas the last item amended the charter, this one amends the code of ordinances. Again, I will have Joe Lupo and the rest of the team available to answer any questions, but first I'll have Joe, if he can, highlight some of the changes that have taken place in the code, and then move from there.
So when the city undertook creating a planning board, the purpose was to have appropriate oversight. Absolutely. Apologies. When the city undertook creating the planning board, the purpose was to have appropriate oversight over certain types of projects without burdening the average citizens from renovating their homes or, building a home. So with that, the planning board is limited in its scope and authority to site plan review for multiple dwelling units of 3 family units or more, mixed-use premises where it has a residential and a commercial use, all commercial use purposes, buildings and projects, as well as any subdivision. So with that, and it was kind of touched upon before, for many years we didn't have a planning board, and we had a zoning board that was acting kind of in place of a planning board. But the zoning board is actually just an appellate body. So the criteria that one needs to get a variance from the zoning board is actually codified in the law. And it's 5 very narrow factors. It's whether the variance being sought will create an undesirable change to the neighborhood, whether the variance sought is substantial in scope and size, whether the hardship is user-created, whether it would affect the character of the neighborhood in a negative way. With that, a planning board, it's bound by the factors that we create for it. So in the team's research and looking at what other municipalities do, we created a much more broad scope, things that, that really affect the city, right? So parking, flow of traffic, how a project might affect natural resources, how a project might affect adjacent cultural resources, things like sewage, water, you name it, landscaping even. So it's a much broader scope for larger projects, which is much more appropriate than a zoning board actually, granting just, variances. So with that, the planning board was created and tailored, like I said, for larger projects, mixed uses, commercial uses, but, we were careful, the team was careful, the city was careful to instruct us in its creation to not burden the average homeowner in its renovations. So with that, if any of you all have any questions, myself, Patty Bourne, Robin Lynch, Scott Kemmons, Dave Frazier, we'd all be happy to answer.
All right, thanks. We'll begin with the council.
Go
ahead.
Sure. It's more of a comment, Joe. One of the key things that you said here is the planning board is looking to promote development in a positive way. Just so everybody knows, this is not, you or me and our personal homes. We don't go to the planning board. This allows the zoning board to concentrate on extensions and decks and things of that nature. This is really for the major developers. So I don't want anybody leaving this say, oh, I got to go through the planning board. No, it's not for that. It's going to it should alleviate some of those issues for people like you and me that want to do something with our deck. It's going to free up the zoning board for that. Also, a key point in here too, the planning board's going to have architectural review board. It's going to be on the planning board. That's key. So we're going to have a body that is just going to solely be approving the specs and reviewing that, just so it's not going to somewhere else. It's going to be something official. So again, just like everybody's saying, this is going to be great for the city, and I can't wait till it's active.
Chris?
I'm good.
John?
Sure. Joe, in the new section 749I, talks about special conditions where the planning board can waive requirements, but it doesn't define special conditions. Could you just give a couple of examples of what that might be?
So just so you know, the zoning board actually has similar language. So the section that talks about whether it's site plan, subdivision, it requires a whole set of documents. But if there's a certain situation, let's say, where maybe a building has ample off-street parking, like it's going to be a new commercial building in, properly zoned in a business district, and they're going to make sure that the first 2 floors are a parking garage. We might not require like a traffic impact statement.
Okay, so it's kind of a subjective
Yeah,
determination of
100%.
not putting the applicant through too much, overburdening the applicant when it won't, the juice
100%.
isn't worth the squeeze. How's that?
That's a great analogy.
That's a good point, though.
Yeah. Okay, and this kind of theme happened throughout some of the language. This just might be a cleanup issue that we could take care of later. But, so in section 751C4K, it talks about gathering all the information necessary to allow the Board of Architectural Review to provide a timely approval, but then later on in the new section 7251, we make the planning board is the Board of Architectural Review, so they're one and the same.
That is 100% correct. Thank you for that catch. It was definitely just a minor oversight on our part.
Okay. And then just some others, there's some where we're changing the building commissioner to the Commissioner of Buildings and Property Conservation. Same thing, that kind of, some places it was changed, some it wasn't.
Yeah, so
there's-
we recognized a lot of that ourselves. That's also in the first public hearing. We actually codified building commissioner's title as both the building commissioner and
Yeah. Okay.
just so in the event something happens in the near future before we get to change it, it's still all 100% legally valid.
Yeah, there's a catch-all in there that makes. the
No,
two
I
of them
saw the catch-all, but it'd
But
be
yeah,
nice
no,
to make the language consistent throughout.
understood.
Yeah,
Which I guess brings up, so, again, in section 7255, it says if the application is not approved or disapproved within 30 days of referral, it shall be considered to be approved, and that's by the Board of Architectural Review. But then we also say that the planning board has to make a decision within 62 days of the date from when the hearing is closed. But now they're the same entity, so, again, we seem to have a chicken and an egg.
So, all right, but the 62 days with respect to, to the decision of the hearing being closed, that's actually codified in general municipal law.
Right.
With respect to the Architectural Review Board, I believe we did pull some of the language from the code for the ARB, and just might have missed that one cross-reference.
All right, I guess I'm just, my concern is we're creating a conflict, because now that they're one and the same, my concern is we're creating a conflict between the two. For example, if we talk about has to be approved within 30 days,
Yeah.
but the planning board only meets once a month, so if it's a month with 31 days, you could actually have a month where they don't meet within 30 days.
Yeah,
So that could create a legal issue.
So the best fix, in my opinion, it would be to stick to the 62 days, and obviously the reason is because now the Architectural Review Board, because it's a body that has final decision-making authority, it's subject to open meetings law. So anything that goes before the ARB has to be properly noticed, there has to be a hearing. The way that it was done in the past was a little bit more administrative, but because we codified everything with a brand-new board, we'll keep it all consistent with the 62 days.
I think we have to clean that language up some, because like I said,
Agreed.
we've now turned two bodies into one, and they all have different deadlines.
Sure.
So we have to be careful we're not, like I said, painting ourselves in a corner.
I mean, one of the issues, though, the Architectural Review Board right now is not what, I won't speak for you, but I'll say for myself, it's not really, what's effective.
Can I also?
Well, again, we're trying to make it effective. That's
Right.
the whole point.
Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is, we got to be careful about creating conflicting, because
I
now that we're
understand.
merging the two.
I thought it was redundancy, actually.
Let me just,
Well, again, when one's got a 30-day deadline, and the other is 62,
if I can just point out that the 30-day review for the Architectural Review Board that's being quoted there is only for Section 7-253, which is referrals to the board. If you look at where the Board of Architectural Review in that section, it really only comes up in Section B, which is to approve the contours and trunk diameter of trees, et cetera. So it really does not there's no major impact on that. It's really only for that section that really matters. I believe it also ties to roll-up doors. So it's not really a substantial item in this. If you look at it, it says within 30 days of the date of referral or whatever,
Yeah.
Board of Architectural Review shall refer to it under section 7-253.
Right.
Within
Well, I
30
mean,
days. So it's
traditionally,
only
the
that section that it
Architectural Review
refers
Board
to.
was the last people to see this thing.
Right.
Right, and they were kind of like, okay, is this thing a monstrosity that doesn't fit, so that's why, but now that the planning board's going to be taking care, the 30 days really doesn't even apply anymore.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
All I'm saying, just remember that specific 30 days only referring to 7-253, which really only has very little to do with anything other than trees, tree
Well, it's also in
thicknesses of greater than
7-255.
But it doesn't mention that in that section that 7-255 is mentioning 7-253 for the 30 days. That's where it mentions
Oh,
the
yeah.
30 days.
Yeah.
And it only mentions it for 7-253.
Okay,
Right, Joe?
all right, like I said,
Gotcha.
you know what I was trying to get at,
I
so.
do too.
No, I understand, and honestly, thank you.
Yeah, like I said, we just don't want to create conflicts and make it more difficult for the
Yeah,
applicants.
just as a precursor, I mean, it's a great catch. We were, I don't want to say overwhelmed, because we weren't. We had a great team. I mean, all the people I mentioned before, Robin Lynch, Patty Bourne, Scott Kemmons, Dave Frazier, I mean, people that have been here and have such a wealth of knowledge, and it couldn't have gotten accomplished without everyone. But with that, we've never done this before, so, there is a bit of a learning curve.
Of course.
And I will say that there probably is going to be some language in the upcoming months where we're going to have to make some changes, because once we actually start, we'll see what works and what doesn't.
Fully
right.
expect that.
Very good point.
Yep.
Thank you, John.
Roy?
Yeah, that's it.
You- Okay, open it to the public. Commentary from the public. Questions? Yes. Hi, Steve.
Hello, I'm Steve Camden at 10 West Beach Street. I'm just coming up here to say thank you very much. First, what you just talked about is very important, and I just want clarification. When there are modifications to be corrected like that, how does that occur?
Modifications to the.
Like you guys were just saying, the wording and correction of wording.
So what we'll do is we'll have to have another resolution to amend the code where it'll specifically identify which code section with the current language is and what the new amended language will be. And then that gets voted on by the council after a hearing.
Thank you. Okay, because that'd be great to just we do another cumbersome thing to
No,
kind of
no,
do the little bit of
it'll be
fine
very
tuning.
specific.
That'd be great. Yeah, okay. Anyway, my name's Steve Camden. I was on the Planning Advisory Committee board for around 15, 20 years of going through different stuff. And thank goodness we're finally at this point. The major hurdle was accomplished a couple of years ago with getting the comprehensive plan passed, which was needed to get to this point. So I'm so excited that that part was done to get to this part. This part here of now, renaming the Planning Advisory Committee to the Land Use Advisory Board, having the Planning Board searching for 7 new people to join, and hopefully people sending the applications in to get 7 people qualified. And I'm understanding that it could be a mix and mingle between some of the people that used to be on the Planning Advisory versus people on the zoning, and it could be a juggling to say let's get good talent everywhere, that's an exciting idea. I'm really happy with that. And I just want to say thank you so much for the zoning board people who years have put up with making sure we did the best we could under the conditions that they had to go under, because we didn't have this set up the way it should be set up in a government that we, as we all learned, you have to do this. So this is a great next level to get to. And I'm, really excited for everyone working together to make this, history of coming together. And the biggest thing is everyone in town that I know is always, complaining, how did that get built? How did that get done? And the fact that now you can sit there and try to have what you just said also about the 1 and 2 families being left alone to do what they got to do and have a much easier path for the normal 90% of us who just have 1 or 2 family homes, and then have a focus on what do we do to control what we want to control in the future. And the big half of this isn't about development. The big half of this is about preservation. When you look at the 87 plan, there's a lot of it we love. So we want to make sure we preserve the parts of Long Beach that are Long Beach, that make Long Beach, and we add to things that might add to itself to be even more of a possibility. You know, like the big hope for me is eventually, like you guys have talked about many times, on the having another jewel in Long Beach, having the boardwalk on the ocean side and having a walkway on the bay side. Those would be two beautiful jewels in the future for Long Beach to have, and that's part of the concept here. So I'm looking forward to the Land Use Advisory Board setting the vision a little bit, the planning board and the zoning members being able to implement how it happens and what goes through it. So thank you so much for your time and effort.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Okay. Okay. Saved by the bell, Anthony.
Sorry?
I said saved by the bell.
Fantastic. Anthony Rector again, 115 Connecticut. Unbeknownst to you, I've served on the Architecture Review Board for about 17 or 18 years. I was appointed by Ed Eaton, our great city manager back in the day. And I got to say, even though I volunteered my time to try to better the community, we are ineffective. We only monitor and review new construction for single-family homes. The community deserves better than that. Like, we need to amp it up. We're just an advisory board to the city council, but things like house lifting and renovations is not under our purview. It's just new construction of single-family homes. So this town is booming. We need to get a handle on it, and we need to look to the future to do a better job. And I think, again, I applaud the council for this new planning commission.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, I didn't intend to besmirch any work that has been done by ARB by any means at all. In terms of effectiveness, I just mean when we look at some of these plans, sometimes you wonder what's going on with it, and I don't know if there's enough scrutiny, that's all. But was nothing against the Architectural Review Board. Any other comments? Okay, we'll close that.
Okay, on to the
Thank you.
regular calendar. Item 1 is a local law amending the charter of the City of Long Beach regarding planning board. A hearing has been held on this item already. Item 2 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding planning and zoning generally. A hearing has been held on this item already. Item 3 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into new agreements for the continued operation of beach concessions in the City of Long Beach.
Okay, so this item extends 3 leases for beach concessions at Ocean Beach Park, Scoodon, Marvell, and Riptides. During negotiations, we wanted to make sure that market value was being received for each of them, which was very important to this council. These lease agreements are under very much the same terms already in place, except for monthly rent numbers. We compared rates, the most recently awarded RFP, which was Marvell, as well as similar concessions in New Jersey, specifically Belmar, New Jersey, which only has 1 concession on its entire boardwalk, bigger population, again, 1 concession as opposed to many. The Marvell lease was the most recent award and was in line with our estimate of market value since it was recently put out to RFP and had an escalation rate as well tied to it. So the Scoodon lease was increased approximately 60%, and Riptides was increased approximately 73% to align with our estimates. We feel these are reasonable market rates, and we'd urge the council to approve. I have Joe Lupo here if you have any further questions. I do believe that these concessions worked with us to come to the numbers that we thought were reasonable. I do think they're local community concessions, and they've done a good job at not only hiring local talent, but serving the community in general.
All right, thank you. Comments or questions from the council?
I have something.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say, I know this has been controversial for some time, these concessions and these leases, and I thought that we came to a very fair deal that was market value and beneficial for the residents of Long Beach. I've learned in my short tenure here in politics in Long Beach is that it's a contact sport, and you can cure cancer and you're still going to be wrong, but that doesn't stop me from saying or doing what I believe in. I think having local businesses in those concessions is the very fabric of Long Beach. I don't want a Nathan's where Riptides is. I don't want Starbucks where I watch children come out of the Scootins Surf Shack and surf all summer. I'm sure they can pay more money. So you could fault me in the street or when I'm out to dinner with my wife and tell me, you know, I'm doing deals or whatever the accusations may be. I don't care. I'll take them on the chin. My opinion and strong opinion is that these businesses support a lot of local people. And unless I'm at a school board meeting, I'm thinking the room packed here is probably a lot of kids or families that rely on these local businesses. I see some faces in the crowd that lead me to believe that. So, you know, I'm sure this is going to be a lengthy and healthy conversation, but, you know, my stance is on community-based decisions, and that's where I'm going to, my opinion is, and I'm ready to answer any questions anybody has.
Yeah. I'll just reiterate a lot of what Chris just said. You know, looking specifically at these concessions, you know, Scootin, Riptides, Marvell, these are names that are synonymous with our area, where we're from. I really want to thank the businesses and our city manager for negotiating, because this wasn't an easy negotiation, but we all felt there needed to be a course correction. We really needed to get the market value, and these concessions did not want to leave, and I'll speak for myself, I don't want them to leave. So I want to really thank both parties to coming to an agreement. I think it's great. And as Chris said, I don't want to have a franchise here that's, you know, not ingrained in the community. We have concessions that are ingrained in the community now. And I want to keep that. I want to keep these Long Beach families here with our Long Beach families. So that's all.
Thank you. John?
I guess I'm going to get a little more granular. There's some inconsistencies in the three leases. In the Marvell and the Scootin leases, they pay for 100% of the electricity for 12 months, but in the Riptides lease, they only pay from, well, it depends what section. The sections conflict. In one section, they pay from April to September. In another section, they pay from April till October. And then in one section, they pay 100%, and in another section, they pay 50%. So I suspect the 50% is a cut and paste from probably their previous lease, because I believe that's what it was in that one. So it just might have been a cut and paste error, but there's inconsistencies there.
With respect to that inconsistency, the 50% actually is accurate in the Riptides lease. It was one of the negotiating factors, one of the negotiating points. Initially, we went to Riptides and we, if I recall, we said that we wanted sub-meters installed at their expense, which I believe it cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $20,000. Then as we were negotiating the actual rent amounts, they came up to the city's request and they asked for the give back of 50% of electric because they essentially aren't there all throughout the winter and whatnot.
Well,
So,
neither are Marvell or Riptides.
I
I mean, Scootin.
I understand. It was
And also, in one section, it says they pay from April to September. In another section, it says April to October.
okay.
So,
It should be till October.
okay, and then, so they pay 50% for 4 months. I'm sorry, April, May, June, July, September, October, 6 months.
Yes, sir.
50% for 6 months, but they're paying the same rent as the tenant one block over who's paying 100% 12 months.
That's correct.
Okay. Let's see. In the force majeure section of the contracts, it has a bunch of conditions under which the tenants don't have to pay rent. And it's obvious stuff, hurricanes, floods, I mean, stuff that's out of their control. But what's also in there is if they can't hire enough help, or if they have supply chain issues, they don't have to pay their rent. How is that the city's issue?
The supply chain issues and the hiring enough help, that was actually a product of a result of COVID, when everybody had all those issues following COVID. And to be quite honest, the sample contract had that language added in, and it wasn't taken out.
Joe, that was the language that was in the previous lease, right?
It was in some of the previous leases.
Yes.
Another thing that's kind of interesting, when we actually dug into all the leases on the concessions, there were actually two or three different versions of the leases in the past that were not consistent, even though certain leases were executed around the same time. They used different templates and different samples. I apologize. I'm standing in front of the microphone. If it didn't pick me up, I apologize.
Okay. Did Marvell ask to put any tables on the boardwalk? Because we have one of the contracts gives. Yeah, sure. I'm sorry. One of the contracts allows the tenant to put a bunch of tables on the public part of the boardwalk. They do a lot of business and people need a place to sit. But Marvell does as well, for example, and they don't get any tables. Why?
No, what Marvell asked for actually was a physical extension of their premises, which I told them I couldn't put into the lease because it has to go before the building department. They then see if they need any variances. That all has to get approved, and then the city would actually have to approve any extension of the actual footprint of the building. And in the event that happens, since we're enlarging the footprint of the building, then we would also have to talk about rent as well.
Well, we didn't do that for the tenant that has the tables out there now. They would just give him permission to do it.
The tenant who has tables out there now did not ask to extend the footprint of their current building.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. The way all three leases read, that if they want to extend their property any further, not putting tables, if they want to extend, build
I
anything
understand
additional.
that, but if they wanted to put tables out on the public part of the boardwalk.
Do they?
Well,
They don't.
They
never-
don't,
They
okay.
haven't asked.
They don't.
so.
They did not ask.
Because, I mean, anybody that's been to Riptides knows there's always people standing around in the bike lanes and stuff,
That's a funny place to eat, though.
dripping ice cream all over the place.
Yeah, no, I apologize, but they just never asked for tables.
Yeah, no, I'm saying Marvell, that, the people who's dripping ice cream all over the place. But anyway, in the Marvell and the Riptides contract, in the general section, the city is giving them keys to open and close the restrooms. Does that violate any of our union rules?
So the keys to open and close the restrooms was actually discussed with our director of operations, because Marvell gets there quite early, much earlier than our staff. So they're not going to open up the restrooms for the public. It was just that if, let's say, Mr. and Mrs. Bradish are there working at 4:30 in the morning and they have to use the restroom, they could open themselves up, use the facility, and then lock it back up and leave.
So they're not going to leave it open?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Roy?
Joe, when you're talking about extending the footprint, you don't include the tables?
No.
Are the tables private property, so to speak? I mean, are they in?
The tables are, all right, so the table itself is private property located on public property.
Right, so
Right.
what does that mean? I mean, can anybody use the tables? Or does Riptide have determination who can use the tables?
So if Riptides is at full capacity and, they need their tables for their business, then they have the authority, or the right, I should say, to ask somebody who's just sitting there to maybe rest their feet to maybe go across the boardwalk to one of our city-provided benches. However, these tables, at least in my view, they are serving the public, because it's the same public that uses the boardwalk and that lives in the city and maybe visiting the city, but it's the same public that is going to Riptides as a patron as it is
What
who's on our
about, what
boardwalk.
about somebody who comes down and just, with their kids and they want to eat lunch? I mean, when you say they have they have the authority to order them off the tables, or I'm just confused.
Well, wouldn't you
about
agree
that.
with, I mean, if your property is your private property, you have dominion and control over that, so you have the authority to ask somebody to not use it. If all those tables were empty and somebody sat at those tables and they ran over and said, you have to leave, I personally don't think that would be the best business move. It wouldn't make them look very good to the people.
I'm just asking the authority.
Yes, they have the authority to ask somebody to not sit at their table. Yes.
People. So it's not really, it's on public land, but it's not really public land because you put a table now. And so, all right, I was just curious about that.
Yes, sir.
There's another part of the lease, and I noticed this.
They're asking for your mic.
You're right. There's another part of the lease that I was curious about. The tenant has a right to end the lease anytime he wants at the end of every season, even though it's a 10 or 15-year lease.
Yes.
The city has no right. I've never seen that in a lease.
Okay, so if the tenant knows going into, at the end of the season, that they're not going to be able to continue business for one reason or another, right, then we actually have a duty to mitigate our damages. So if they end that lease early, we have a duty then to go out and try to find somebody else to take that location. But why would somebody sign a lease with us if at the end of every season we could just terminate their lease or make any capital improvements in the property for that matter, because then they have no guarantee of longevity. In essence, then that's more like a license agreement.
Why would we sign a lease if they could walk out every season? I mean, usually when they're in leases, both parties either have the right or they don't have the right.
You're 100% right, but there's also
I've
such
never
a thing
seen
as a
a lease.
strategic default, right?
It's
So
what?
there's also such a thing as strategic default and the necessity to mitigate damages. I think that it actually benefits the city that if a tenant, for one reason or another, decides that they're not going to continue the following year, and they come to us during the off-season, and they say, hey, listen, we can't afford it no more, we hit lotto and we're going to retire, whatever the case may be. Now at least it's better than us having to, find out what's going on, possibly evict somebody.
But we have a lease. We have a lease
Yeah.
and we have a guarantee. We can collect. It happens all the time in landlord-tenant.
Yeah, but we still have a duty to mitigate damages. That also happens in landlord-tenant, no?
Look at the lease. We don't really have much of a duty.
But
They
based on
still-
common law, we would.
Yes. But mitigate, it doesn't matter what you get. All you have to do is advertise or something like that. Also, if the city needs that property for some reason, let's say they want to do something on the boardwalk.
Sure.
And here now all these tables are there. If they need that property, we don't even have a right to take it back.
I don't know how we wouldn't have the right to eminent domain our own property back.
It's not eminent domain. You're
Well-
not doing it. It's a violation of a lease.
I don't understand what's being violated. I just don't.
Because you have a lease, you don't have a right to get out of the lease. The tenant is the only one that has the right to get out of the lease. So, I'm looking at opinions from the state controller's office, and it says clearly, a lease should contain a provision reserving the district, and they're talking about school
Sure.
districts, right to cancel if the lease portion of the property is needed for district purposes at a future date. We don't have that, which is kind of a violation of this. And it's not that these
But
guys.
the state
aren't-
comptroller's opinion, that's just advisory. That's not binding precedent on us.
No, it's not, but it's opinion of the
Sure.
of the Office of State Comptroller. Why would we not listen to their opinion? And it says further, to avoid contravening Article 8, Section 1 of the state constitution, which prohibits gifts and loans of public money or property or in aid of private individuals, corporations, or associations. The municipality generally may not use property for private purposes for nominal consideration. Now, I'm not saying this is nominal consideration, but, the problem is, according to our charter, and...
Well, they're going to get mad if you don't.
I know. I'm going to take it out. According to our charter, and I'll read the part. It says, "The city council shall make leases or grant licenses at a reasonable consideration for periods not to exceed 5 years of any land, building, or other property or concession in the park area. No lease or license shall be granted except after open competitive bidding, duly advertised, except as provided in Chapter 14, which has to do with athletic events and stuff like that." Now, don't get me wrong. I happen to know the students well. I think they're a great organization, and I think they've done a phenomenal job. Kevin has... Kevin has put something on the boardwalk that nobody else ever has, and there's no question it's popular. And Mike, Brian, I'm sorry. You can tell I'm old school. And Marvell seems to be extremely popular. But we have a charter. And it seems to me if we don't follow the charter, we open ourselves up for litigation. Now, why couldn't we have just put out the RFP, and the same people would have, in all likelihood, have gotten the property?
So a couple things to that. What you're referencing actually is a part of the code, I believe, Section 18-14, leases and concessions in Ocean Beach Park.
Yes.
The charter is actually a separate body within, the code is a separate body within the entire document, if you will, but when you go on our website, it's the charter and the code.
Yes.
The charter actually also has another provision where it says that, and I believe we spoke about this earlier, where the city council has the authority to convey its property interests to any, to really any entity, whether that's a lease, a sale, any conveyance of a property interest. But a lease cannot extend 99 years, and it's for any reasonable consideration that the council deems appropriate. So the
code...
I'm sorry, let me finish.
All right.
I'm sorry. No, I apologize. I just want to try to answer your question as best as I can. So the charter and the code, like a lot of things that we find in our code, the code needs an overhaul. There's going to be things that contradict. But just like we put in RFP contracts, if something in the RFP contradicts something in the contract or the RFP proposal, we define what controls. The charter is a superseding document. That's what gives the city its right to be a city, and that supersedes the code. So the fact that those two sections conflict, you have to go back to the charter. But then the other thing is
why do
in
they
defining
conflict?
Ocean Beach Park,
Yeah.
also, and we may have a difference in opinion of this, as we discussed before, section
1813.
that 13, it is what actually defines that the northerly boundary is the northern rail. So places like...
And, Joe, read it all the way through. And any land adjacent to the Ocean Beach Park owned by the city.
So what actually struck me also was any land adjacent to the Ocean Beach Park owned by the city and duly designated as a part of Ocean Beach Park.
Which it is, because look
who
at
designated it?
Under the lease,
resolution?
Joe, under the lease, it's under the Ocean Beach Park section.
But that's not a designation of land. The designation of the land to be a part of Ocean Beach Park would have to be a resolution duly adopted by you folks, which was never done.
I think by passing this, it was done. All right, anyway, I just have a couple more questions. So in other words, the idea behind competitive bidding is to get the most money for the taxpayers.
For the most part, yes.
Yeah.
So,
and sometimes you find something that, is better for the community.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Right, but that's done after the competitive bidding process. That's supposed to be done after the competitive bidding process.
But there are also other factors here, too. I mean, if you even look back at the original resolution from 2016, I believe it's resolution number 3316.
Yes.
Part of the first whereas clause was it also gave special consideration and credence to local food service providers that previously provided food services to the city. Now, with respect to competitive bidding, you have to look at General Municipal Law, Section 103, 103A, and 104, which only requires a competitive bid if the city's going to do a purchase contract where it's spending more than $20,000, a public works
And-
contract where it spends more than $35,000.
Right, and if you look at the comptroller's decisions, time after time, they're talking about lease and how the lease has to be considered and how they, they clearly say, no, it's not for procurement of something, but it is a lease of public land and should be considered the same way. And if you look at what was that, 3316?
That was the original resolution.
Yes. It said for 1 year only.
It actually said 5 1 years.
No, it said for the,
Hold on one second. I'm sorry, Roy, would you mind pointing me to what you're talking about with the 1 year?
yeah, it says, this shall be in effect for 1 year only. It was the 2016. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not arguing that at all.
Okay.
I'm just saying that it seems to me the proper way to do this, to avoid any potential conflict with outside vendors, would be to put it out for an RFP. And, that's the way it was originally set up for. That's the way a city should operate, and that's the fairest way for the taxpayers. I mean, yes, I understand everybody loves them, but the fairest way for the taxpayers is to put it out for a bid.
Okay. I know that putting it out for an RFP would definitely give the city as well, everyone, other options potentially, or, hypothetically. But what value is it in the bidders to actually bid a large amount if they only have a guarantee for 1 year, like you said in 3316?
No, because after that, the original, you were talking about 3316.
Yes, sir.
3316 was the only place where it mentioned the 1 year. Everything else talked about a 5 year.
But it's funny because all those contracts, and I'm not disputing that, but all those contracts from 16 were actually multi-year contracts with extensions.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I'm telling you, you brought up the 3316, and I'm
Sure.
telling you what 3316 actually says. But we have always, if you look at past corporate councils and the decisions they've made.
Sure.
And I'm reading from 2022. It says the boardwalk concessionaires, and this is Rich Barrios, are treated differently in that they have leases which must be let via competitive bidding and approved by the city council. It just seems to make sense to me that with the weight of evidence like that, with the comptroller's office decisions, that this would be the right way to do it. And we'd probably end up with the same people.
Well, Rich Barrios,
Okay.
he was like my mentor to this
Yes.
place. I think very, very highly of Rich Barrios, and I think he's a damn good attorney. But Rich Barrios and I didn't agree on everything. And with that, while I understand, what that letter says, that letter is accurate. If you have concessions that are on the beach, actually within Ocean Beach Park, or if Ocean Beach Park was actually, these concessions were designated as part of Ocean Beach Park, then I would think that it's a little bit more clear. But I think what's happening is that we have language in our code, in our charter, that conflicts, that is a little vague or ambiguous, and maybe needs a little bit of some tailoring.
These were letters sent to each of the boardwalk concessionaires. You're telling me that they should have been sent? That Rich was wrong in sending them?
All I'm going to say about that, Mr. Lester, is that I do not agree with that letter. I think that Rich is a great attorney, but no, I view it differently based on the plain language of the code.
Thank you, Joe.
There would only be one lawyer in town if all the lawyers agreed.
That's right. Fair enough.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions. I don't know if you can answer them. Has anybody complained about the tables that were being used on the boardwalk? Do we have any complaints?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, I'm just
but
wondering if there was
I
any
don't know that-
disputes or arrests or anything like that because of those tables.
Just to add to that, I also am aware, I've spoken to Brian about this quite a bit, and the public is allowed to use those tables and chairs when there are not patrons there using them.
Right. And what would be the benefit of forcing a concession tenant, to remain in business if they're not making money? And obviously can't pay their bills. So they want to get out of their lease because it's not working for them. I mean, certainly we would want to hold their feet to the fire so the city doesn't lose money, but the city would probably make more money from a concession tenant that is doing a better job and making money, can pay their bills. So I understand why you would let someone out of their lease, or they could get out of the lease, that's what the contract says, because it's not beneficial to the city to keep them there. I think that we have, as a council, we have an obligation to look out for the city, the residents. The highest bidder, in my opinion, doesn't necessarily mean something that is in the best interest of the city. It might be, it might not be. So, yeah, it's my opinion. So we'll open it up to the public then. Okay, right there. Yeah, you, yes. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Okay.
Hi, I'm Melissa Alderwald-Moss. I live at 512 East Bay. I'm speaking tonight in no order of importance as a mother, an educator, a special education teacher, a local community member, and a really, really big fan of the Scudin family, their businesses, and particularly Surf for All. Most of all, I'm really just here as a human with heart, and a human who believes in magic. And if you don't believe in magic, then you've never been to a Surf for All outing. I'll get back to the magic in a minute. First of all, Scudin Surf, the family, the business, and Surf for All has been connected to my family and my children since both of my children were 6 years old. One is now 19 and one is 16. They have been so good to my children. They have been so good to my family. I can't even begin to tell you the countless ways. They have made an impact on my children's lives and my family, and really in the essence of my children's being. When they were younger, they learned about ocean safety. They learned about respecting nature. They learned about teamwork. They learned about responsibility to clean up after themselves after a day of camp, which of course we used at home too and held over their head. They learned respect and plenty of other things, and those are just some of the priceless lessons that Surf for All and Scudin have taught my children. My children are now employed by them, and I continue to see the love and respect that they provide to my children. The physical location where they are is not lost on me, that they are literally in the center of town. They are a hub in this community. Just back to the magic for a minute. So defined, magic is just the power of apparently influencing the course of events by mysterious or supernatural forces. And the magic for Surf for All is where it's at for me personally. Watching these outings is absolute magic. Watching people with various difficulties and disabilities, health conditions that defy any expectations or sense of logic, that is magic. When my children work at these events, I come down simply to just be influenced by the course of these events and these outings. The supernatural or the forces that are beyond the understanding of the laws of nature, they are felt by being in that ocean. And that's what makes me and anybody standing there understand what it means to be human and believe in magic. I laugh, I cry, I smile until my cheeks hurt as I stand there and watch what they do. Watching the participants who struggle every day with life-threatening conditions, pains in their bodies, to just watch them is magic. Their families, the participants, the teachers, watching them watch their family is magic. It changes you. It literally seeps into your being, and it changes you to the core. And the level of empathy that was raised for my children inside and anybody else that works with these people helps to make the world a better place and helps to make this community a better place. So I am just here to show my support to that family, to those organizations, because they do make the world a better place. And you think locally, this is our world.
Thank
And
you.
I give a lot of credit and a lot of gratitude to them, and that's what I came here to say.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good evening. My name's Getty Moss. I'm a junior at Long Beach High School, and like my mother, I've come to speak to you today on the importance of Surf for All and Scoot and Surf on this community, and I'll speak anecdotally for myself as well. I'm a former Scoot and Surf camper and currently an employee, and I volunteer at Surf for All. When you're young, there aren't many places that you can go where you can truly feel at home other than your actual home, of course. Having a place for my friends and I to meet where we knew our safety was ensured by all the welcoming staff, and having a place where you could enjoy yourself in the community under a watchful eye, I must say, is integral to my development. And now, as an employee and a volunteer, I feel that it's my duty to give back and reciprocate that same safety and joy, and I felt right in the center and the heart of this town on our boardwalk. And, you know, as I said before, the shack is a second home to me, and I know this was brief, but I just hope that my perspective and everybody else who's going to speak just give you some insight into the true heart of this community and how we really feel. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you. I'll just say for a second, I had the benefit, the good fortune of attending a Surf for All session last summer. Actually got in the water. Cliff was nice enough to let me get in the water, and I helped the kid catch a wave. He was already better than me after one wave, you know. And I think it was, I agree with the statements just now about the value of it to Long Beach, to the Long Beach ethos, to the Long Beach community. So I couldn't agree more. I also would like to say that because we have so many people here and so many people that want to speak, we have to try to stay within the time frame, which is the 3 minutes. You know, and obviously everybody has the right to say what they want to say. So I just, you know, let's try to keep it that way. Jerry, okay.
Jerry Snell, 551 West Fulton, and Cynthia Remark and Sergeant Luis Remark. I just came to support the Scudin family. I met them when they, before Scoot and Surf and before Surf for All, they had my niece and a bunch of autistic and Down syndrome children in the water. Life-changing event for my niece and her family. After that, we started the Waterfront Warriors in 2008 before Scoot and Surf and before Surf for All. The Scudin family was in the ocean 5 days a week, providing surf lessons to injured soldiers and Marines. Since then, yeah, for years, the Long Beach Catholic School needed a smart board. I went to Cliff Scudin. He provided a surfboard. We had a raffle, surfboards for smart boards, and provided a smart board to the Long Beach Catholic Regional School, all with the help of the Scudin family. Couldn't have done it without them. Again. I also brought up a flyer which is indicative of how much they've helped the soldiers and Marines. So many soldiers and Marines have come up to me and said they never thought they would have the opportunity to go into the ocean again with their children. And the Scudin family has turned that around. Surf for All has turned it around. Also in the summer, the Scudins donate a day at American Dream, a surf park in Jersey. And 70 people are in American Dream. The Waterfront Warriors could not afford to provide that. The Scudin family provides that, besides giving surf lessons every day of the week when the soldiers are here. So these are some of the beneficiaries. I think Cynthia wanted to say something.
I do. Thank you, Joe. Hi. My name is Corporal May Romachi. I served in the Marine Corps. That's actually where I met my husband.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. We actually have two beautiful children also born on 9/11, so both days. This is my husband. I don't know if you guys got the flyer, but this right here is my husband, and with Student Serve, and with, I'm sorry, I might get emotional.
Me too.
If it was not for these families to see an obligation for things like this, where my husband, where many, many family members that we have gone through with Long Beach Wonder Fruit Warriors and come to think of as our own family, for them to not only be able to experience the water again. My husband has no legs above the knee. He's never going to be able to walk. He's never going to be able to walk his daughter down the aisle unless he uses a prosthetic. He has had the opportunity not only to get on a surfboard and ride a wave, and I don't know if you guys do that, but it's magical. Okay, that water out there and these people, not just the water, but the people who are beside you teaching you how to surf, and not just the people, but also just the heart. I have met their mother. She is a magical woman. She is so passionate. For her and her sons, not only to witness the joy that they brought to my son, who's 3 now, he's in the back on the phone, but not only to sit here and allow him to just ride on the beach on the four-wheeler, or to be able to witness his dad go out there in the water and play in the water with him, to have his daughter join the, yeah, that's probably one of them. That's him, yeah. To not only be able to accomplish what she wanted to do. She had zero confidence. And getting her out on a board opened her up. She's 8, and it just opened her life up. So, not only is she proud of that, but I am proud to stand here. And I don't live on Long Beach. I live out in East in Manorville. But when Jerry had informed me of this happening, I jumped immediately at the chance. As soon as my kids were out of school, we got here. This is Benji. Say hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
He's a mic hog. But yeah, these families, they do a lot. They do a lot. And I'm looking at you, Bendo, because you keep looking up at the sky. I don't know what you're doing. But I'm like ice cream melting. I'm sorry, but like you have to hear this. And in order to hear this, you have to look at the person speaking. You have to show them respect. That's not showing them respect by looking up to the sky. Looking at me when I'm speaking
I've been watching you the whole
is
time.
not speaking. It's not respect. So please give the next person who's up here talking about how wonderful these businesses are and how much they do for this community some respect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your service, and thank you, Jerry, for all you do as well. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it. We have another comment. Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
My name is Joe Salonica. I work at the Henry Viscardi School. This is a former student of mine, Emma Greenfield. Probably about 15 years ago, we had a student at school at Viscardi, Connor Troy, and he played wheelchair basketball for me at school. I happened to be at a birthday party of his here in Long Beach, and I got the opportunity to meet Will and Cliff, and they gave me the opportunity to do something as a person with a disability. I grew up with spina bifida and hydrocephalus. I never learned how to swim. You know, I was always told, you'll never learn how to swim. But I always had an affinity for the water. I'm a South Shore kid, grew up in Baldwin. My family had a cabana in Malibu as a kid, all the way up till I was 18 years old. I'm almost 54. So I met Will and Cliff, and they talked about surfing. I love the water. I'm that kind of guy that doesn't say no, doesn't take no for an answer. If I have an opportunity to do something, I'm going to give it a shot. Got in the water, I got on the surfboard. Wasn't great, but I did it, and I loved it. And working at Viscardi for now 32 years, coaching wheelchair basketball, being an adapted phys ed teacher, I have the opportunity to impart on my students who all have disabilities that, yes, we have disabilities, but we say we have the same goals and dreams and aspirations as any kid in the world. And if there's something that we want to do, we should be able to find a way to do it. The Scoot and Surf, Surf for All, is that avenue for somebody, whether it's a kid or an adult with a disability, to get in the water and enjoy the ocean. I've been in the water with every kind of disability known to man, and the smiles that I see from my friends, my students, my colleagues, you know, is just, you know, parents, yeah. It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. But also the kids from Long Beach that the students employ or have volunteer. You know, not only am I watching, you know, my students and my former students, but I'm watching the kids of Long Beach, right? And, you know, there is no able-bodied disabled. You're a surfer, I'm a surfer. Everything's equal in the water. And just to see the smiles on those kids' faces here at Long Beach, and to the point where I'll have kids come up to me and say, I want to come volunteer at Viscardi. I want to work at Viscardi. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And for what the students did, out of just a small idea with Connor Troy, trying to get him in the water and enjoy the ocean, to having, you know, the opportunity that I get to meet them and further my affinity for the water, and then my students at Viscardi or camp abilities where, you know, they're blind and or deaf, or limb kind, which is, you know, amputees or autism, whatever it is, you know, is out in the world, there's disability. I've been in the water. I've been lucky and fortunate enough to be in the water with all those kinds of people, and to see the effect that it has on the person with a disability and the person that is able-bodied and is helping impart their love for the water with somebody that, in the end, you know, people in the end was, you can't do this, you have a disability. All right, Will and Cliff and the students, that's never part of their vocabulary.
Thank you.
So,
thank you very much for expressing that.
thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Emma, and if you don't know me, you will know. As Joe said, I'm one of Joe's former students. I was at Viscardi for my whole career, and I went on after that to get my master's in social work. And I just want to talk about the student and everything that I've been through with them. I've been a student with them almost 5 years. Those adaptive equipments and those adaptive programs are inclusion. They allow me to embrace my disability identity in ways that I can't describe. Like, these programs are disabled joy. They help you embrace disabled joy. They help you embrace the parts of you that you never thought you could. Like, it gives you opportunities to, you know, go serve, go do these activities, go do the things that people told you never could do. When I'm in the water, it's like the most free that I've ever been. Anybody that knows me knows that, like, the more adrenaline, the higher, the faster, the wetter, you'll usually find me there. And, you know, taking away these programs or or modifying the way that joy is being able to be provided is an integral aspect of how we exist in the world and how we coexist and how we navigate ourselves. This program has showed me time and time again to not set the limits that I may have set, or you may have set, or society may have set. It shows me every single time to be brave and to push my own limits. And yeah, I fall off the board once, twice, 3 times. And everybody can attest to that if you've seen it, but just getting on the board and being able to be in that open air and in the spaces where I'm unapologetically myself in a different capacity is indescribable. So I ask just that you, when you think of these decisions, to think of people like me, think of people that come after me, and just have a little bit more compassion and awareness for what you don't see on the outside. But no, I thank you.
Thank you very much, and
Thank you.
you are so right. We need a lot more compassion in this world. You are right. Thank you very much, and thank you both of you for expressing yourself.
One last thing, if I may, to the point where there was a kid at Long Beach High School that was so impressed with how we do stuff that he wanted to try and make our lives that much more easier in the water. So he bolted a race car seat
Bobby Klein.
to
Right.
a.
Is he here?
All right, there he is. All right, he bolts a race car driving seat to a board, so a kid with a disability that might not have, a lot of balance can
Right.
just get sucked right into
It's
the
quite a
seat.
machine he made. I
right?
saw it. Yeah.
It's
In
phenomenal.
action.
All right, so everything that comes out of this program is a win.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Hi.
Hi, good evening. My name is Gabriela Lopez, and I'm a senior at Long Beach High School. I've had the pleasure of working with Brian and Gina at Riptides alongside my siblings. Tonight, I am honored to speak on behalf of my family and myself about how much Brian, Gina, and Riptides have meant to us. They've done so much for the community, supporting junior lifeguards and youth camps, giving jobs to teens like me, student athletes, and creating a welcoming place where love, laughter, and good memories thrive. Riptides was my very first job, and working with Brian and Gina has been life-changing. Over the years, they've taught me what it means to grow into adulthood, and every time I return, I gain a new and impactful experience. Their influence extends far beyond the restaurant. Through Riptides, they've brought joy and laughter to people of all ages, longtime residents, out-of-town visitors, and everyone in between, especially our local regulars who come in for their morning coffee. They've created a space where people can gather, enjoy a great meal, and experience the beauty of our city, our sunny beaches, and refreshing ocean breeze. I remember my younger siblings being so excited when their camp trips included a visit to Riptides. For them and for us, Riptides feels like a second home filled with wonderful memories. Riptides has become a part of us, part of who we are as a community. It's an example of the importance of remembering where you come from and giving back whenever you can. Working at Riptides has taught me so much, not just about responsibility, but about the importance of community and giving back. I hope to carry those lessons with me as I move forward in life, and maybe one day I'll inspire others the way Brian and Gina have inspired me. Tonight, I hope we can all reflect on the importance of supporting local businesses and the incredible people behind them. Places like Riptides remind us of what makes Long Beach so special. Thank you, Brian and Gina, for everything you do, and thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much. Well said. Yeah, in the front row.
Good evening. Terrence Harris, 67 East Pine. The young lady said something about magical. When I was a kid, coming to the boardwalk you had the bowling alley.
Yes.
You can go to the bowling alley and get a breakfast for 99 cents.
I missed the bowling alley.
The young man said something about his age. I'm almost 60. And going on the boardwalk, going back east, you had the rides. You had the Ferris wheel. You had the salt and pepper shaker. You had the kids' rides.
Don't forget skee ball.
I'm going that way.
Okay.
I'm going. It's magical. But then when you had the gentleman that was at the ice cream parlor, howdy. He would say howdy to everyone that walked by. He greeted everyone. The wife was there.
Yeah, right.
And then you would get to the arcade, the clam bar. And then you had a joint there that was the Knish place. I don't know if you remember that. They used to sell Knishes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really good. And then we get to the skee ball. And then the BB guns, and then the thing which you would play and make the horses go on, the air balloons. All magical. So as you said, as a kid, now you got the riptides. You have the scootings. These kids need this. Coming up, they need to see this and have this in their life. And he said something about the furniture. If you have a house with no furniture, what is it?
It's a warehouse.
It's empty. So the tables on the boardwalk are beautiful. They're colored. They're different colors. It adds something to the boardwalk. It brings that character. Bradish is a very good guy. So I'm just here to say, let's keep them here. Whatever it takes, let's keep the local business here, and let's keep these kids here.
Thank you. So all you got to do is raise your hand, not you, but we'll raise the hands, and I'll call on people. That's kind of how we always do it here. Yeah, well, he did. That guy did. Yeah. I'll use this one. Oh, okay. All right. All right.
I go to Riptides all the time in the summer, and I bet most of you do too. I go there with my family and my friends. We get the best food ever, so that's why they should not shut down Riptides. Okay. I love scooting. Me and my friends surf all the time. A lot of kids sign up for it every year. And that's why you should not shut it down.
Thank you.
My name is Emma, and I love Riptides because in the summer, me and my family go and get acai bowls and say hi to my brother Brian. He is 17. Scoot and surf. In the summer, I go to the beach and surf with my family. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Right here in the front row. Devin, right? Yeah, Devin.
Devin Parker, Superintendent of Sanitation. I've had the pleasure of working with Riptide, Scoot and Surf, and I just want to say that they are the definition of community. What they do for the community, they have impacted many lives from all walks of life. So I know that's the goal that we want here in Long Beach.
Absolutely.
So it's excellent to bring them back and keep them going, and that's about it.
Thank you, Devin.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Jacoby Thomas, third vice president. Just wanted to let you guys know that I grew up with these guys. These guys are awesome, and to see what they're doing for the community is even better. Why not keep them? We love them, and we're here to show our full support. Now we need yours. Thank you.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Okay. James.
James Hodge, 95 East Fulton Street here in our great city by the sea. I just happen to live by the bay, and for many years I was scared of the sea until I met two amazing brothers by the name of Cliff and Will that broke my, thank you very much, but y'all taking my time. Thank God for Beth and the Scooten family. They are magical. They believe in everybody. And when I didn't have enough money, that's why I was always in the bay, in the rip rab that we was talking about earlier. They told me to bring all of the kids when I was the president of the Martin Luther King Center. They said, James, bring all the kids to the beach. I said, we don't have money, but they said it, no, we're going to do a program with Surf for All. Harvey Wiesenberg, Jim Mulvaney, and all of the amazing staff. They didn't just teach us how to surf and break, different barriers for so many kids throughout Long Beach, but they took children that never been in the water like myself, and I got on the surfboard. I thought I was doing something until I hit the first wave and I had to get back up. And I remember Cliff and Will saying, "Get up!" And that's how they do and teach everybody, no matter what situation you find yourselves in. For the Waterfront Warriors, my brother served the Marines for 31 years. And so it's so good. And I know we're talking about renewing the lease and 60 and 73%. When I think about businesses that support Long Beach, I think about Tide. I think about Brian Bradish and his wife, all that they do. I think about the Scooten family and all of their staff in Marbella. They don't just have great business, but they give thousands and thousands of dollars back. So when you talk about going up 60% and 73%, think about it's not just the highest bidder, and it's not just how much we can get, but it's how much they give constantly, year after year, week after week. So yeah, you probably can get another $100 and you probably can get another $1,000, but what they give is equivalent to millions and billions of dollars for those of us that never got a chance to touch the sea, but we touch the sea through their magical hands and their magical power. Thank God for Beth. Thank God for the Scooten family. Thank God for the Bradishes. And as I say, I end with this. Don't just think about how much more money you can get, but think about all of the lives that they have helped change, and especially the hundreds of kids like myself that never thought we could ever go and surf until they made it happen in our lives. God bless, stay blessed, peace and love.
Thanks. What are you saying? Where is he? I can't see him. Where? Just come on up. I can't hear you, buddy.
Good evening, everyone. Sam Pinto, Long Beach. I live on Riverside Boulevard and Beach Street, so I'm right in the thick of where Riptides and Surf for All offer such great value to the community. I'm definitely not as charismatic as James. I'm not as inspirational as our Surf for All surfers, and I'm not as cute as the Moran kids. But I just want to give a little bit of focus on the value that these businesses serve. They serve the community. I strongly support the renewal in their leases, both Riptides and Scooten Surf. The value that they add to our community is honestly priceless. I know that there's obviously details broken out within the terms of these leases. Those obviously were brought together by both parties, but now we're all standing here in a crowded room, and we're here to show support for these businesses. The Ocean Beach Park for Long Beach is our crown jewel, but it's businesses like Riptides, like Scooten Surf, that really make our crown jewels shine. It is a synergistic effect when you have people who come to the beach and they have a great place to eat. No one has ever said anything bad about the food products at Riptides. The food keeps up with some of the best restaurants in town. No one's ever said they've had a bad experience with Scooten Surf, even if the water conditions weren't the best they could be. So my family, 70 years ago, sold umbrellas under the boardwalk, back when there was a lot more going on with the boardwalk vendors. And the value that they brought to those people, just to keep them, everyone used umbrellas back then, but just the value that these two businesses bring to our beach community literally is priceless. And I just want to make sure that's factored in tonight's consideration, because you take a place like Riptides out of the equation, you take a place like Scooten Surf out of the equation, our Ocean Beach Park is not what it could be. And I just think you guys should greatly, greatly consider the value added that they bring to the community. They serve the community. They employ residents nearby. They bring in visitors from the outside. Everyone loves what they bring to this community, and I strongly, strongly support the renewal in their lease. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. On the left there, yes.
Evening, Council. My name is Michael Martin. I'm from East Rockaway.
All right.
I come over here just about every day to walk on your beautiful boardwalk. I used to live on Rochester Avenue 30 years ago. When I retired, I met Brian at Riptides. I've been with Brian since the day he opened. When I met him, when he met the building, and he's been open. Brian has been fighting a very hard fight with you guys for the last 5-6 years. Over the tables, over the flags, over security, but he fought diligently every time with members of Long Beach and other people around the country.
Yeah.
The surf place holds the World Surfing Conference here every few years. We had the best surfers in the world at Long Beach, and they ate at Riptides. I got pictures of all these greatest surfers that Long Beach children are following steps today, which is wonderful. Why are we going after their money? They give so much back to the community, like that other gentleman just said. Where does 73% come up for a rent hike? I don't think you guys get a 73% rate. He gives out so much, Brian. He's there at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to make sure his tables and everything is ready to go at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock when you have your coffee. When you're sitting down there, which everybody has done, and watched all those boats out there and watched all our friends and family go by, to have a cup of coffee and have cheers. I sat down there in the morning with guys from France, China, all over the world, coming from the hotel, coming next door to have breakfast. I met movie stars having breakfast with us, also there, and they love Brian. Brian's the first one to say hi, we introduce, they come back year after year after year. Why would you want to change Brian Bradish? Why would you want to change the surf club?
I don't think anybody can change Brian Bradish.
Because you want to raise the rent and make everybody change their rates also. It is hard today. Everything
or
is
Gina, for that matter, I'm
high.
sorry.
Rent is high, we understand, but why do you want to push them out? We're 73%. Where'd you come up with that number? You face market value? Well, go to the President of the United States, because he has all the answers for everything today. So go to him and he'll probably help you. You know what I mean? Because the way the world is going today, we got to stand for ourselves. Long Beach's been standing up since. Standing. They rebuilt the boardwalk, they rebuilt the village of Long Beach, Oceanside, Island Park, further up, that we all come together to have coffee every morning. Every morning that Brian is open. And when he closes, we're still up there having coffee. We bring it up to sit at his tables.
Yeah.
And Brian's a fighter. I don't know why you're giving him such a hard time. Even, we have to sit here and ask him, are you going to renew his lease? That is absurd. I understand it's part of the process.
Thank you.
But why you make it so hard and then raise his rent 73% you're looking to go? And then the surf club 50-something%, and then Marvell so many percent. I understand you need money. We all need money. That's the way the world works.
I think Chris wants to answer you.
I just want to bring you up to speed, and I don't want the wrong narrative to be out there. I understand people are frustrated, but I think if you knew the story in the backdrop, we're probably just as frustrated, if not more frustrated than you. And when I say me, I can only speak for myself, Mike, and Brian, who I ran with. There's a new administration. And when you say 73%, it doesn't mean anything, because 73% or 730%, if you don't know what they were paying before that, that number is arbitrary. It doesn't mean anything. I just want to let you know the narrative here. I say for the sake of time, I don't want, for the people waiting around who want to be home watching something or be with their kids, there is no rebuttal from me, again, I only speak for myself, Mike and Brian, or in this case I am, to keep these businesses local. We have fought very hard. These businesses that are here that you're speaking about, we've been intimately involved with them to salvage this and not have it go out to RFP, and not become a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts, and to keep it local. I opened my statement saying that. So we've been here for now a year. This January became a year. And this was something we wanted to do to make sure that these businesses stay local. These 73% rates or 63% rate hikes, I think you can go to anybody in the Scudin family or the Bradish family in that front row, and none of them will complain, because they were made with our city manager, their attorneys, and our attorneys, and everybody's happy. That's not the conflict here at hand. The conflict at hand is keeping these businesses, renewing their leases, and we're fighting for that. We are on the side of the local businesses. We don't want to put this out for an RFP to have a McDonald's or a Starbucks or Nathan's, because you know what? I know the value of everything everybody just said, that I can walk into the Scudin Surf Shack on a Saturday afternoon, and I'm going to get an owner who's going to hand me a gift card for any organization, fundraiser, or hardship that somebody has in town, and they're going to be on site and hand it to me. That's not going to happen at a Nathan's or some fast food chain. So I just want to put that out there. So, for people who are here to get the point across, our point, we're saying the same thing. We're all for the local businesses. We fought hard to get to this point, and we're probably going to got a lot of mud in our face for it. Like I opened my statement before when we started the resolution, I don't care. I'm here to keep the businesses that are local and the families and all the people who just came up here, remarkable stories, local. That's my job.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you for your statement. Thank you. Okay, in the front row right here. Thank you, Chris. When I find this guy Brian you're talking about, let me know. Hi.
Hi, my name's Maya Abramson. I've worked for Brian and Gina for 10 years now. They are amazing to work for. I have been their manager for 8 years now, and I love working at Riptides. I love coming back every single year. The customers come back every single year. Our employees come back every single year, and they are amazing. And Riptides is like a family, and I couldn't imagine not going back to Riptides in the summer, not only because we get to work at the beach, and it's amazing, but because the environment is just so great. I'd also like to say about the tables that you can't have a restaurant without tables. Yep. No one is going to sit at our restaurant without tables.
Well said.
They are also open to the public a lot more of the year round. You can go up there right now and sit at those tables than they are when we tell people that they can't sit there because of our maximum capacity. You're not going to go to Gino's and grab your slice of pizza and then go next door to Bad Boy Burrito and eat it there. If you're going to be a customer at Riptides, you eat the food at Riptides. There's plenty of seating on the boardwalk where other people can eat food from outside of Riptides. And that's all I'd like to say, though. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, in the front row here. So you guys relocated to get VIP upgrades.
Hi, my name is Charlie Gallo. I'm a freshman at Long Beach High School. My family and I moved to Long Beach 4 years ago from Brooklyn. We first started surfing
Welcome.
in Rockaway with Scudin Surf when I was 6 years old, and it was awesome. But it was awesome because we found a family of support with Scudin Surf. The team welcomed us with open arms and helped feed our addiction to the absolute best sport on the earth, surfing. For the last 4 years, the surf club has been our second home. We've met some of our best friends and had some of the most memorable times of our life. And not only because we learned to be better surfers, but to have also learned to be better people because of it. We volunteer in the summer with Surf for All, and we do junior lifeguards. The surf club isn't just a place to surf. It's a community that shapes us into better people. We are the future generation, and we will continue to spread this stoke wherever we go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chris. Hi.
Hi, my name is Paul Mergallo, and I'm a 7th grader at Long Beach Middle School, and I love surfing. I moved to Long Beach in 4th grade, and to say things were hard is just an understatement. But thankfully, I had surfing and the surf club to make my transition to a new town, a new school, and new friends a little easier. In fact, I met so many new friends and had a place I could feel comfortable enough to think of it as my second home. Not only did I make friends in Long Beach, but I made friends all over the East Coast because of Scoot and Surf.
Wow.
I am incredibly grateful to the Scoot and Surf Club for bringing us all together and creating a community that is unstoppable and unbreakable that I can call family. I think back at all of the amazing memories I made at the Surf Club, and I can't wait to make many more.
Thank you. You guys each have a future in public speaking. You also relocated right here, right? You guys are very tricky.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Harlan. I have cystic fibrosis. I'm 10 years old, and Surf for All.
Who's that with you?
Oh, my friend.
I'm Miles. I'm a fifth grader.
We got to do Surf for All, and it was one of the best experiences of my life.
And we also got to surf waves with instructors, and that made me feel happy in my heart.
It was an incredible and crazy experience to get to surf and actually not feel like I'm going to drown while doing it on my own, and actually know what I'm doing, sort of, and yeah.
I also got to meet a few instructors and friends because my mom signed me up for a surf team, and I'm very proud of her because she is very responsible in my life.
Thank you guys. Thanks for coming up. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Behind, yeah, please. You did not, but you got to put it up. I can't call on you if you don't put your hand up. I'm kind of stickler like that.
How you doing? Kelly Coyle with 718 Westchester Street. Just came to talk about Riptides and Scoot and Surf and how we should, I urge you to renew their leases. There are two businesses that are, they make Long Beach what it is. You go up to the boardwalk, it's not like another storefront on Park Avenue where there's store after store. They stand out. What they do for the community, it stands out. The tables that are on the boardwalk, the colorful stuff that they have in front of Riptides, it stands out. Riptides, they got the picture with the, with the kids taking the pictures in front of Scoot and Surf. Yeah. Just the vibes up there are great. When I bring my kids up there on the bike, I don't know if I'm more excited than them to go get some food at Riptides. They were actually mad at me tonight. They thought I was going to Riptides to talk to you. They wanted to come. But
that would be a good night for bike riding with kids, right? Yeah.
But these are the type of businesses that I think, obviously we all want in this town. Like I said, it's local people. They take care of the boardwalk. They keep the boardwalk clean. They care about the people that walk in. They shake the hands of people that walk in. I think we're all on the same page here. And I hope so. I hope, for future,
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. They could stay up there.
All right.
Thanks,
Kelly. Thank you. Right there. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Johanna Sofield, 535 Grand Boulevard. Happy New Year to everybody. I haven't seen everybody. I'm glad that what I was going to talk about, no one touched upon. And I think you will all be on the same page with me. And I appreciate when you talk about like market analysis. Everyone has to pay attention to math these days, right? But what's the market analysis for the Scoot and Surf men that are sober, that teach many of children, some very high risk, some in jeopardy. I'm gonna cry.
Don't make me cry.
So, people behind me will know the names of kids that they've saved by just being mentors. So, and if you bring it to an RFP and some other organization, person, business, somewhere, comes in, will they have that same value? Nope. And I would say, as someone who just left Key West and came back here, I'm definitely not that role model. We all like to, enjoy a cocktail, sometimes, not everybody, but you have athletes that are role models that also, if we talk about market analysis, I thought in my head of about 40 organizations or fundraisers, tragedies that have taken place, and they donate a $500 plus value. If a child shows up at surf camp, they have to have the staff to support everybody. So one donation is someone that's not paying, they're taking up a paid spot, plus a surfboard or a foam board. So just in a value, we're probably talking, and I'm probably lowballing it, it's a $1,500 value every time someone goes up to the students and say, there was just a tragedy and we're doing an event and it just happened last week and can you help? And now I'm going to tell you something that will definitely make me cry. In October, something terrible happened to the students. I did not know the timing of my phone call was so insensitive that I'm embarrassed. But I got a call from someone out of town who called. She was trying desperately to get their dying wife. She had a day or two left. Her dying wish was to get wheeled down to the beach. She was in hospice and could not walk. I did not know that they were dealing with a tragedy. And I called Cliff Scudin. I texted Cliff Scudin. I normally would have put Will on the text also. God saved me from doing that. I called Cliff. I texted Cliff. He responded. I spoke to Janine Sorensen, who also was involved with Surf for All. He got the wheelchair, the beach chair, down during their family's tragedy. The other thing no one talked about is the invaluable networking that takes decades to develop so you can make that phone call. So I apologize for my tears, but I wanted to touch on the math of it, and I wanted to touch on the fact that the networking matters, and being role models that most of us would aspire to be and never, ever be able to is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah. Thank you, Johanna. And thanks, Johanna, for what you do as well. You're Christmas Angel. It's really good. Thank you. Kevin?
Kevin Martinson, 311 East Penn Street. Haven't been here since the wind turbine fiasco. Before I start,
talking about that yesterday.
Before I start, let's give it up for Long Beach wrestling team. Beat MacArthur yesterday. Stand up, guys. Stand up. Come on. Saturday, beat MacArthur. Big match. I heard it was like one for the ages. The place was packed and going crazy. So give it up for Long Beach wrestling.
Thank you, Miguel.
When I first moved here in 1995, I eventually met a lot of local friends, and they would tease me on the beach, and they would say to me, Kevin, you're not a local, but you're almost a local, which apparently was a badge of honor. I didn't know that, I was almost a local. So that was amazing to hear, and they would tease me about that. I thought it was funny. And the reason I bring that up is the two families that are here tonight, and they do such a great job, both the Scudins and the Bradishes are actual locals here. And that means something. It means something to this community that you were born here in Long Beach and that you now have a business in Long Beach and you serve the people in Long Beach. It really is a badge of honor, and I just wanted to come up and say that, you know, that being a local is really important, and I'm just lucky to have my kids are locals. I'll never be a local, but my kids are local, so at least it got that going for me. So, yeah, I just wanted to, you know, Beth Scudin took my son under her wing when he was in the swim, on the swim team, and she was just great. And the whole family was just always generous. Always, if you needed something, you call them. Like Johanna said, they would do anything for you, and that's the difference between somebody out of town and somebody local here who's been born in Long Beach. They know the difference. It's a special town. So that's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. And the back with the hat. All right.
Good evening. Pete Meyer, 151 West Walnut Street. I'm not really here to speak about, I'm here to speak to you, but it's about Riptides, it's about Scoot and Surf, and the like, Marvell. It's not always about the money. I was elected as a chair of a not-for-profit, very proud of, and I volunteer for a multitude of other not-for-profits. I sit on the board on 2 others. So my life is all about volunteerism. You don't know me. Mr. Lester knows my dad. It's inbred from my dad. When I say it's not about the money, if I drive up with a truck full of wounded warriors in front of Marvell, they pay the tab. If I make a phone call, somebody needs assistance on the beach, I'll call Commander Jerry. Congratulations, you guys got Jerry Snell in a collared shirt. That's should be applauded.
Not a tank top, right? Yeah.
Scoot and Surf steps right up. So when you go to bed tonight or before this meeting is over, realize this. Sometimes it's not about the money. It's just doing the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Come back there.
How you guys doing? I'm Sean O'Neill. I represent the CSA. I also
Sean.
represent beach maintenance, and we deal hand in hand with Brian and Gina at Riptides, Will and Cliff, Scoot and Surf. We're out there in the morning at the crack of dawn with them. We see Ann out there setting up. You know, we're the guys that clean the beach. We're the guys that are grooming the beach. So we work hand in hand with Scoot. They're there breaking their butts every single day. Same thing with Brian and Gina. We're the guys that are up there fixing the boardwalk, cleaning the bathrooms. They're really good people. And when he said locals, they're born and bred here, both of them. Like, they graduated from the same schools I did. These people are as local get, and they just continuously give back to the community. So from beach maintenance, people that actually work with these guys on a daily basis, they are the best people for Long Beach. So, you know, we really, really wish for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, in the front row right there. You waited patiently, I know.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Peyton Holtkamp, and I am a freshman at Long Beach High School. It is a true privilege to speak today about how volunteering with Surf for All has not only been a rewarding experience, but has also taught me invaluable lessons about inclusivity, courage, and community. More than that, it has shaped me into the person I am today. Surfing is something many think they'll never get to experience, and for some, fear or barriers can hold them back from even trying. But through Surf for All, everyone can be out on the water, feeling the rush of a wave beneath them. What makes Surf for All so special is its mission to make surfing accessible to people with special needs and those from disadvantaged backgrounds, and to do so completely free of charge. For many, opportunities like this are rare. I've seen kids and adults who face daily challenges discover new strength they didn't know they had. I've watched individuals from undeserved communities step onto a surfboard for the first time and realize they belong in this space just as much as anyone else. I want to take a moment to express my sincere gratitude to the Scudin family. Their unwavering dedication to this program and their passion for making a difference in the lives of children, adults, and the community is truly inspiring. The Scudins have created something far beyond a surfing program. They've built a movement of inclusivity and hope. Their generosity and vision have given countless people the chance to experience the ocean in a way that transforms their lives. I also want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Dr. Janine Sorensen. Dr. Sorensen has been instrumental Dr. Sorensen has been instrumental in creating opportunities not just for the people we serve, but for volunteers like myself. Her leadership and commitment to this mission have opened doors for me and so many others to give back and make a meaningful impact. Volunteering with Surf For All has not only made me a better person, but it has also given me the great honor of getting the award of Dedicated Volunteer for 2024. This recognition has meant so much to me. But even more rewarding has been the chance to witness the positive impact we have on people's lives. All of this is made possible because of the Scudin Surf Club. It is a vital part of Surf For All and the Scudin Surf. It houses all the adaptive equipment needed for all athletes, and it provides all of the necessary resources right on the beach. Without it, Surf For All and Scudin Surf would not be able to operate. All of this has truly shaped who I am today. I've learned how to be patient and how to lead with kindness and empathy. It has taught me the true meaning of inclusivity and has showed me how powerful it can be when we create spaces where everyone is welcomed, encouraged, and empowered. So to everyone at Surf For All, thank you for creating a space where everyone, no matter their ability, background, or age, can experience the joy of surfing. You've given me the opportunity to witness something truly amazing, how something as simple as a wave can help people see their own strength and potential. And to the Scudin family and Dr. Sorensen, thank you for your generosity. You've not only impacted the lives of countless individuals, but have also given people like me the chance to grow and make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. On front row right there.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mason. I'm a junior at New Hyde Park Memorial High School, and I know we're all gathered here for today for all of these beach concessions, but I just want to get a show of hands. Who here has been impacted by Scudin Surf, Surf For All? Just give me a show of hands here.
You're the expediter.
Now, who here would want to take that opportunity away for anybody? I've been surfing for 9 years of my entire life. Not my entire life. 9 years of my life, and it's really shaped me as a person.
Probably more than half your life, though.
I started out when I was 7. I'm 16 now.
Yeah.
And I've gone from yellow group all the way up to high performance, where I'm surfing competitions all over the East Coast.
Fantastic.
It's really just, it's a great opportunity, and it would be a shame to take that away from anybody. And I'm an instructor now, and I get to see the joy of what I used to be when I was a kid, and it'd be horrible to take that away from any kid.
I agree.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Right there. Yes.
Hi, my name is Olivia McColgan. I'm a primary care provider here in Long Beach. I had the privilege of working at Riptides from the day it opened its doors. I worked there for 5 years, all throughout school and college. Then I worked there while I was saving money to go to PA school. Brian and Gina are the most kind people I have ever met in my life. I now have the privilege of seeing patients who tell me, especially my LGBTQ patients and my patients who are in recovery, both from alcohol and from drugs, that Riptides is a safe haven for them. They feel like there's nowhere else in Long Beach where they can go. There's also nowhere else open as early as Long Beach where they can go. I used to have to do the morning shift with Brian at 5:30 in the morning. But that was all I really wanted to say, was they've given so much back to the community. They ask for really nothing in return except for the opportunity to run their beautiful business. And I think it would be a shame to lose that. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. There. Good job, fellas. Thank you, Miguel. Hard-working guy.
Good evening, gentlemen. Dan Schaefer, 30 West Beach Street. Obviously, I can agree, as we all can, about all the great and wonderful things that all three of these businesses give to our community.
Yeah.
They've directly impacted me and myself and my family in a great way. But to speak very quickly, in regards to it, it looks like we've hammered out a way to move forward, right? So they're going to stay. So going forward, I'm not so sure about how we'd ever come to a lease agreement whereby the city could renege at any given time. My hope is that a 5-year in standing should also have the verbiage whereby if these great tenants want to stay and have the option to renew, they have the first right of refusal, so therefore we do not have to go to an open bidding war. So they should maintain the 5-year renewals in perpetuity, provided they're doing a good job for our town and we're in agreement. They're not breaking any rules, they're not stepping outside of the parameters of their business as they were intended. And then I would also suggest that instead of having to revisit something for a giant leap forward to get up to snuff, perhaps we tie their lease to a 3% or a CPI, something more. And I suspect that was already done. This was just coming from a basement. We had to get back to reality, and going forward, though, to protect away from Starbucks moving in, who, and we could use it as an example of not a great tenant, beautiful new building, riddled with garbage already, but that's why we don't want to see that on the beach. We want to keep these guys, so let's maybe put the option in their hands, provided they want to stay. That's all. Thank you.
Interesting choice of words, giant leap forward. All right, in the front row. You were afraid I was going to call on you. I did.
Hi.
No, up right into you. Like that.
Oh, hi. My name is Journey Pinetto. I live at 140 East Fulton. I'm just here to say, I'm new to the Long Beach community. I just got here at the very end of 8th grade, and I was struggling making friends with new people. And during the summertime, the MLK told me about Scoot and Surf, and I could learn how to surf. And me and my sisters, we went there because we just wanted to find some way to have fun and meet new people, and they helped me make more friends. And now I'm in 9th grade this year, and it helped me be more open and not so shy around other people and more confident in my
That's great.
myself around other people. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hello.
Is it 2 foot?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't gamble for that, but okay, let's go.
Okay, hello.
I'm
My
kidding.
name is.
I'm kidding.
I know you are. My name is Sheena Curry, and I'm the board chair of the MLK Center. I'm not a resident of Long Beach, and I'm just here to say that Cliff is absolutely amazing. I became the chair in the summer of this year, and I'm telling you, I wouldn't have made it through without Cliff. He supported me. He donated. That I was able to support the summer program. He basically paid for the whole summer program for all of the kids. So the service he provides is valuable and priceless. So I just hope we come to the conclusion of just whatever has to be done with his lease. Okay. It's there. And thank you, Dan and Joe, for sitting with me today to negotiate our lease. I hope we up on the agenda at the next meeting. So thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Sheena. Thank you. I think that's it. Oh, there are more. Okay, right there. I thought we had come to the end, but we have more. No, you don't have to be sorry. I just...
Chris Jones, Barn Street.
Hi, Chris.
I think it's getting late, and could you just tell us what everyone wants to hear? Is this a vote or?
It's a vote, yeah.
It has to go to a so vote.
We're gonna
we vote on it now?
Yeah, we're gonna.
Let's do it.
Yeah, okay. Dennis?
Good evening, Dennis Kelly, 120 West Park Avenue, Long
Dennis.
Beach, New York.
I am the attorney both for Riptides and for Scoot Surf. I didn't want to take this time because I was actually enjoying and really thrilling in the comments that have been made so far to you this evening, but I just want to touch base on a couple of things. First off, I want to tell you that I deal with Brian and Gina, Cliff and Will. I actually have been dealing with them for years as not only clients but also friends. They are accountable, serious business people. And when we engaged in negotiations with the city and I did so in a professional manner, quite thoroughly. It wasn't easy sailing, but any stretch of the imagination. We had serious negotiations about money, about term, about services, and everything you can possibly imagine concerning a lease and a serious piece of property within the city. The number that we ultimately achieved for both businesses was after months of negotiation, where we started at a much lower number and we climbed to a much higher number. And I think the city was very reasonable because I think the city wanted to even go higher. And I think they were doing that in the best interest of the residents of the city of Long Beach. But they also clearly took into account some of the things that you've been saying, the devotion to locals, because I think Assistant Corporation Counsel Lupo alluded to this in his comments, that the first resolution from 2016 basically gives a preference to locals. And I think it's worked out great. You know, these are three hard-working businesses. I don't represent Marvell, but we know Marvell is an iconic business on this Barrier Island. And what better place to have it but on the center of the boardwalk? I'll give you a quick story. It's a Friday afternoon. It's hot as Hades in the middle of the summer. I don't know why I go up to see Brian, but I have to go up and see Brian because Brian called me to come see him up at Riptides. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We're both tired. We're sitting out in front of Riptides. I'm in a suit, so I look ridiculous. And all of a sudden, an older couple with two teenage kids, I assumed, were walking west along the boardwalk and stopped and ran up to Brian as he was sitting facing the ocean and I was sitting facing Riptides and said, "Excuse me, are you the owner?" And he said, "Yeah." And they said, "You know, we've never been to a better place by a beach than coming here earlier today, and I thought I had to tell you that." And he said to them, because Brian's pretty sharp, some might not think so. He says,
I think so.
He says to them, where are you from? And they said, "New Hampshire." And I just thought, like, did you choreograph that? You know? And I think that, so I think it spoke volumes as to his business. Just very quickly on the legal issues, we also discussed lengthy, and I just asked for the time, at length, the legal issues here. One of the goals that I had in going forward with these negotiations was to make sure that we had sound legal footing to enter into these leases. I know this town. I was a city council member. I know the litigation that can pop up. I know the litigation that can pop up as a result simply of politics. So I wanted to make sure we were on sound legal footing. And in fact, you know, I worked hard with the Corporation Counsel, Frank DeGranis, as well as the Assistant Corporation Counsel, Joe Lugo, and of course, the city manager. I have an opinion as to the legal footing of these leases. And that opinion is they will survive any lawsuit. I want the Corporation Counsel to tell us what his opinion was relative to this issue as to competitive bidding and being required to go out for requests for proposals as to these locations in these leases.
Mr. Kelly, good to see you. I know, can you hear me? First, I'd like to say Joe Lupo put these contracts together and worked very hard. In my office, Joe, he worked so hard, and I think he gets some appreciation for that. Second, in my opinion, as Corporation Counsel, there's no need to put it out for RFP. And lastly, on the great principle of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's all I have to say.
Here. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to close that? All right. So, is it the last item? No, that's okay. Yeah, so I'd like to, in a suggestion over here, make a motion to vote on this out of order.
That's fine. Okay, so item 3 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into new agreements for the continued operation of beach concessions in the city of Long Beach. Who introduce and move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Motion to call it out of order first.
No,
But nobody voted on it.
we don't have to vote on the motion. It's in our rules of order. The city clerk can call things out of order.
I will.
Thank you. Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
It's kind of interesting to me that people were coming up under the impression that we wanted to get rid of some of these locals. I said the one thing that's been unanimous in the discussions of this all along is, the one thing that's been unanimous in the discussions of this all along is we have good businesses there now. Look at the crowds. And to the point, if it's not broke, why fix it? Now, I think some of the question was doing it properly to keep these businesses there, because there's some conflict, unfortunately, in our laws about how to do that. And we've gotten different interpretations from different lawyers, where some have said, you got to go out for bid, some have said you can't. So it's basically comes down to sitting here and going, okay, what's good for Long Beach? And I think we heard that tonight. I think we know what's good for Long Beach. So this is pretty simple. Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
John's right. We didn't hear anything but good about all three of the businesses. And I started off by saying how good these businesses are. As far as the students go, we go back, what, over 60 years, Dave? Yeah. Yeah. And I remember before Dave even started going out with Beth. And that was well before the kids were born. I've loved the students the entire time. They taught my daughters how to surf. And, you know, it was a lifelong lesson. And it's difficult to take a position when you're faced with hundreds of people who have one thing in their mind. But the unfortunate thing is when you're elected here, you have a fiduciary duty. That means you have a duty to everybody. You have a duty to the taxpayers. You have a duty to the town. Now, there's people were talking about, well, what if a Starbucks comes in or something like that? Well, I wasn't on the council at the time, but when Marvell came in and bid, they bid $40,000 for that place. Nathan's came in and bid $52,000. The council decided the right thing to do for Long Beach was to go with Marvell. It was not the most expensive one that they could get, not the most money, but those things are taken into consideration. But they followed the procedure. They followed the law. And that's important. And when you have case after case saying that you have a fiduciary responsibility, that you're supposed to, you don't have to go with the most money, but you have to look at it. You have to look at it for the sake of the town, for the sake of what you were elected for. And that's all I'm arguing. Our charter says you have to. Every indication says you have to. The letters that our council set out said you have to. The resolutions said you have to. Well, could be, but nobody's changed the charter. Nobody has changed the charter. So I cannot vote for this. But like I say, I love the students, and Brian runs a real good thing. And Marvell, I try to stay away from it because it's so good. but I'm going to have to vote no on this.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
So, believe it or not, lawyers disagree. Alert the media. What can I possibly say that hasn't been said here tonight? Firstly, I want to commend, hopefully, some of our young speakers, well, they have school, but some of them are still here. Great job. It's not easy. Commendable, especially something that you believe in and something that I happen to agree with you. You know, when my wife and I were looking to buy a house, I joke about this with Will sometimes, he was actually renting in the house that we bought. And when we left, I said to my wife, Colleen, I'm like, holy crap, Will Scuden lives there. We're buying this house. And we did. He's a local legend and everything he does for the community. And then with Riptides, you know, I have 2 young children, and, you know, when they say, can we take our bikes and can we bike up to Riptides? I say, sure. Because I know they're going to be looked after there. And that's exactly what keeping it local means. So, of course, yes.
I
think my opening statement was a yes before this even started. To echo what Mike said, I think the coolest thing that came out of this was, and maybe because I have a teenager, and she was more upset about TikTok being banned the other day than our dog dying. So I think there's something wrong with the world today. So it's really cool to see all these young kids come here, the dedication, how much the Bradishes, Scudens, and Marvell has impacted these kids, where they actually dedicated their night to sit through this boring grown-up stuff. So that was pretty cool. But like I stated in my opening statement, there would be nothing in my way that could stop me from voting for the local businesses over everything else. Like Mike said, lawyers disagree. I trust our great corporate counsel. I trust Joe Lupo. I trust Dennis Kelly. If they're all wrong, then I don't know. Then let it be. But I'm looking forward to not only giving these businesses an extension, like Mr. Schaefer said before, that they have an extension behind that, so they can put some money into their business, do capital improvements, and know they have a chance to recoup it, and the city gets a better enhanced building when we get it back. Thank you for everything you guys do for the community, and my vote is an obvious yes.
President Flynn.
I don't want you to get alarmed, Roy, but I agree with you about the fiduciary responsibility we have for the citizens and for the city. And I take it very seriously as well, as I know everybody up here does. And as I've also said to you, Roy, when 2 lawyers go at it, one of them's going to lose, right? You know, but we have 3 saying it's good and 1 saying it's not good. So as Chris just said, I agree. I'm going to go with the 3, even though Dennis Kelly went to Regis, but we won't hold that against him. I personally think that the community benefit outweighs the need to put this up to bid. And actually, we believe there is no need to put it up to bid. Maybe putting it up to bid would bid the money up a little bit. At what point? To alienate some good businesses, maybe to lose a good business? That's not what this is about. So obviously I'm voting yes, of course, you know, because these are Long Beach institutions, and they mean a lot to me, and they mean a lot to the community. So thank you to the students, thank you to the Bradishes, and if the Marvell people are here, thank you to what you do. As long as nobody eats their food in the bike lane, I think everybody will be happy.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Dennis.
Okay. Our next item is item 4, resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an intermunicipal agreement for the automatic aid to the Atlantic Beach Fire District.
So as mentioned, this item is to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with Atlantic Beach Fire District for automatic aid for fire, secondary EMS, and dispatching services. I have Joe Miller here and available if you have any further questions.
John, you got a question?
I do, actually. So, in the current contract, we are the primary ambulance for EAB. under the new agreement, we become the supplemental ambulance. What does that mean?
Will be secondary. Atlantic Beach Rescue also has a contract with Atlantic Beach Fire District, and they wanted them to be the primary ambulance to 24 hours, 7 days a week, and we will be secondary to them.
Okay, they're not, didn't they also enter an agreement with Cedarhurst too?
Lawrence Cedarhurst, where
Lawrence
they
Ce-
provide a fly car, yes.
Okay.
They're all over.
So what do you anticipate? I mean, obviously, that's going to mean, I assume, a drop in the number of calls we respond to there?
Yes.
If you had to take half or...
A little bit less than half, maybe about 40%.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Roy? Question? About this? Mike?
I'm good. Questions, comments from the public regarding this item number 4? Chris? Not right behind you, but he's behind you. Thanks. Oh, Sam. Okay. I didn't see your hand up. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone, once again. Nice to talk on another topic. Thank you for supporting the previous topic. Quick question is, in reviewing on this contract, I couldn't see, is there anything, and Long Beach professional firefighters, excuse me, is there anything here that prohibits the career force from responding as part of this agreement?
Can you say that a little bit louder?
Is there anything that prohibits the career force to be included in the response under this agreement?
Joe, the Long Beach Fire Department, I think, limits are to the Long Beach area, but obviously when there's mutual aid necessary for a fire or whatever, we've responded before and we will continue to respond for our neighbors.
So with all due respect, I'm looking just for a little more clarity because we're now being given an awarded a contract and I have the ones from in the past.
Will we be extending the paid fire department services outside of Long Beach? No.
So that's the question I have on this because the City of Long Beach Fire Department is an agency that looks over two entities. There's the career force and the volunteer force. It also has two contracts that are one with the East Atlantic Beach Fire District and the other one is with the West End, or now the Atlantic Beach Fire District. There's nothing in the agreements that prohibit the career force, so I would say that if there's barring anything in the contract, since they are the primary responders for the area, they would be included in such response.
Who is the primary responder?
That's the question I'm asking.
So EMS primary responders, not us. Fire department, I think we always respond to fires that are outside of our area if they're necessary. But the taxpayers of Long Beach pay for the paid portion of the fire department. The responsibility should be to the taxpayers. And going here, Long Beach, outside of Long Beach, they pay us for service, but they don't pay us enough to cover what I would say would be necessary for them to cover both our volunteer and our paid fire departments.
So based on this automatic aid agreement where Long Beach is being contractually obligated to provide the service, is that a yes, that there's a prohibition, or no?
I don't know what you answered. I thought I answered your question. I
just don't know if there's a prohibition.
Is there a prohibition? No, we will respond to mutual aid calls when we're necessary to respond to mutual aid calls. Are we going to be first due? No.
I think we are first due. That's the contracted.
You have a contract for Long Beach, the city of Long Beach.
No.
And you'll be first due in Long Beach.
No, not saying specifically. I'm just saying the contract for the city and the West Atlantic Beach or Atlantic Beach Fire District are both contracted services similar to what's in East Atlantic Beach. Without a prohibition, I just wonder if it could be considered that the career force also, not to take away from the volunteers, but the career force also responds just like they do to East Atlantic Beach.
We can consider it.
The past practice for the last 35 years now is the volunteers have responded to West Atlantic Beach with the career force. When we first signed the contract in 1990, never responded. At that time, they weren't interested in responding. And it hasn't been an issue up until July of 2023. And then all of a sudden it became an issue. Long Beach Fire Department has been providing service down there. The volunteers have been the ones that have been going. There are no issues, and we're good.
So that's what leads me to my next statement. So the East Atlantic Beach contract right now is continued till 2029. From there, the city earns a revenue of about over $100,000 a year. Back in 2020, the city renegotiated a new agreement for West Atlantic Beach Fire District. At that time, we were earning over $106,000 a year in revenue from West Atlantic Beach. Then what happened was, somehow, due to the negotiating process, the revenue dropped down from West Atlantic Beach Fire District to only $86,000 a year. So for some reason, the value proposition that was in there chose to change it to go down to $86,000 a year. So we lost revenue. Part of it, I heard, was because of lack of provision of service. Otherwise, other aspects were just the city wasn't providing its best service in the process, so there was a need for the city to then reduce their revenue source and then fund a tech for Atlantic Beach, which now is being contracted down to Lawrence Cedarhurst to provide that service. Now, if you look at that original contract from 2020, it has actually had an extension process going to 2029. And up to year 2029, the city was looking to increase the revenues with small escalators, that we'd be receiving over $95,000 a year in revenue. The new numbers, excuse me, just let me finish my point. The new numbers for this new contract are even lesser than what was negotiated as part of the increase that would have been by escalation points for the previously negotiated agreement. Our new revenue sources are only going down to $60,000 to $65,000 a year. So what the problem is that it wasn't an issue, as the Commissioner was saying, but an issue has come up. The revenue for the city is going down.
So revenue in the city is going down because we're no longer providing primary EMS services to
Yeah.
West Atlantic Beach.
But if we offered those primary services back in 2020 or 2024 when this was negotiated and the steps were recognized, at that point, we could have maintained those revenue sources. So if we don't want the trend to continue, that we're losing revenue because of lack of provision of services, it may be okay if the city considers also sending the career force to supplement it. Otherwise, if you look at the trend is that everything else is getting revenue increases and escalators are increasing. But for the fire service, we're losing out on revenue. And I think it's very important for us to recognize that trend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Did we go through the, anybody else? Comment? Okay. So I'll just express my opinion right now. I would like to pay Long Beach Fire Department to work in Long Beach primarily and go to Atlantic Beach when it's emergency and necessary, but that's my own personal opinion. So we'll close that now, right? Okay.
Okay, item 5 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for on-call professional construction inspection services with the most responsible bidder.
Okay, so as mentioned, this item is to allow us to hire an on-call professional construction inspection services. This item is necessary because we still have not been able to hire a permanent construction inspector. We've been searching. I'd request anybody in the audience that knows anybody who would be willing to take that job to please apply. We've been really having a hard time getting some, but at the same time, we need those inspection services to happen to make sure that the contractors are providing us the services that they need to provide us through the contract. We typically would have more people for this, but we do not have them. This was bid out to 10 different vendors. It is a professional service, so you do not have to go with the lowest bidder. It is a professional-based contract, so whoever provides us the best service is chosen, and then the bids, and then the cost portion of the bid is opened afterwards. It happens that the lowest bidder was the second bidder by only $6,000. However, the service provided by the second bidder provides much more experience and expertise than the low bidder. There's not a drastic difference in price. Our suggestion is to go with the second bidder for the amount listed in the item. If you have any further questions, I have Russell Darris here to answer any further questions.
Question, John? Roy?
Yeah. It says up to. So this depends on the number of inspections?
So it depends on how many days of service we use them. I mean, I'll let Russell answer, but this is being put in as a stopgap measure. If we are able to hire a construction inspector tomorrow, the likelihood is we will not need a lot of these services. So that's why it has an up to and not to exceed number.
So Russell, when it says 180 days, that might take us a couple of years to use up?
Well, it's a one-year contract, and it's 180 days of service. So the contract is good for 1 year.
Okay, so if we use up only 90 days, it's half this price?
Correct. We pay per day per inspector.
Can I just ask one
Yeah,
quick
sure, yeah.
question? And
Of course.
I'm going to say I'm asking for a friend. If you take into account salary plus benefits and things like that, is this actually a more cost-effective way to go?
No. I could do the analysis, I could work with Ina, do the analysis, but no, because right now, we would pay our construction inspector approximately $88,000. We would get them for 365 days a year or whatever,
Okay.
minus the overtime, and then.
So this
it
isn't
would be less.
necessarily a more cost-effective option?
Correct.
For the longer term?
One that, why would we need them 365 days a year?
You need them, what is it, 260 days? I forget what the, let's see, 52 times 5, right?
Right,
260
but
days a year,
if-
which would still be more expensive than this.
No, what
Which, I mean, still would be less expensive than, sorry.
Yeah, what I'm trying to figure out is if we are not going to use up 180 inspections.
They can't hear
I'm
you
sorry.
right.
If we're not going to use up 180 inspections, it seems to me that this could be cheaper.
Let me re-clarify.
Yeah.
If we do not have a construction inspector, we will use up the 180 days worth of inspection time.
Okay,
We
all right.
need an inspector out there. Yeah.
You need it full-time.
Okay.
Sorry, Russell.
You said exactly
If you
what I
have
would have
anything to
said.
add, please feel free.
I'll just say, I'm assuming we have a backlog.
It's not necessarily backlog. We have construction projects going on right now where people are spread thin. Russell goes out himself. We have one guy running between job to job. And the worry is that we'll miss something. We really need to keep eyes on these jobs and make sure that the project is being done as per the specs.
And if we vote to approve this, how quickly can they be up and running?
Next week.
Okay.
Just I want to add one more thing. There are some roadway projects that have been going on that, they've been ripping up the curbs. The unfortunate thing, we didn't have anybody out there at the time to look at it, and we missed it. And then what happens, the contractor says, well, that was the condition before they got out there. And these are the kind of things we're trying to prevent from happening, and that's why we want to make
Right.
sure we get these people out there.
Okay. Chris?
I'm good, no, it's a joke.
Comment from the public? Okay, Ronnie.
All right.
Are you applying for the construction inspector?
Worked enough, 45 years.
We owe you.
Yeah. Anyway, nobody wanted this job?
We haven't been able to find anyone. It's been posted for a while. I've reached out to people at MTA, my other contacts. I know Russell's reached out to his contacts.
I mean, even our guys in the building department, none of the guys in the building department, I mean, that's a great job. I don't get it, but it's a civil service job too. CSEA, right?
Yep, yes it is.
There's something wrong. Listen, you guys got to cover yourselves, but that's a great job. I mean, but all right, it is what it is. You tried, right?
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, close that. And that's it, right?
No, one more. Item 6, resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 24-25 fiscal year.
So this item is required to cover salary increase in the Corporation Counsel's office. We have talented lawyers who unfortunately are significantly, in my opinion, underpaid. I don't want to say that's everybody's opinion, but that's definitely mine. In order to keep an employee who was offered a competing offer that was significantly higher than what he had, we need to transfer funds required to make him a counteroffer. Frank and I are here to answer any questions you may have. I may suggest that it goes to executive session if we have some questions.
Right. We're going to have to go to executive session? Okay. All right, we have no comments on the council. Comments from the public? I will close that then.
Okay, on to the voting. So item 1 is a local law amending the charter of the City of Long Beach regarding a planning board. Introduce and move the adoption of this item.
I will.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Absolutely, yes, and I think it's a long time coming, and I'm very grateful that we all agree on this, and so many people in Long Beach are going to benefit as a result. Thank you.
Item 2 is an ordinance to amend the Code of Ordinances of the City of Long Beach regarding planning and zoning generally. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I'll second it.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
I'm just going to ask Joe Lupo if he's still in the room. Oh, just some of the cleanup we talked about, if that could be a future resolution, that we could get some of that language cleanup.
Yes, we'll work with that.
That's already been discussed.
So, you don't come up, I'm just saying, I'm making that request, that we clean up the language in a future resolution. Okay, and so I vote yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item 3 has already been voted on. Item 4 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an intermunicipal agreement for automatic aid to the Atlantic Beach Fire District. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Item 5 is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract for on-call professional construction inspection services with the most responsible bidder. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
I will.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
And finally, item 6 is a resolution authorizing transfer of funds for the 24-25 fiscal year. Would you just move the adoption of this item?
I will.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
We'll make a motion to close the meeting.
Yes.
Second?
Second.
Voting, Councilmember Bendo.
Yes.
Councilmember Lester.
Yes.
Councilmember Reinhardt.
Yes.
Vice President Fiamora.
Yes.
President Finn.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's get to the good part. Yeah, right. Okay. Wow. Got Snickers? Stephen Jacobson? Miguel Rodriguez left. Jerry left. Is Jerry still here? No. Jerry Snell left. Ron's here, Ron Paganini. I know. Yeah. Hey, Ron.
Evening, gentlemen. I'm looking for some information here. I'd rather not waste my time and foil it, but I'm going to see if Mr. Creighton can give it to me. So what I'm looking for is, not right now, but if you get it for me, the summer beach revenue, what you made from the beach, the passes and whatever. I'm looking for that total. I'm sure Ina has it somewhere. And what we usually have to do is pay another $1 million on top of that, which is a phenomenon. You know that. I'm going to prove the phenomenon, but I need information. We never paid extra. In other words, the beach always paid for itself. So if you made $1 million or $2 million, all the labor was paid. We never had to add the $1 million on top. Believe me, it's not that old. So I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. I'm sure that I mentioned it, that maybe you should get to the bottom of it. So anyway, I would like to know the revenue, what we made, and how much on top. I don't need, you know what I mean, on top to pay for it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, can you get that for me somehow? And I can come and pick it up, or?
We can get that money with those numbers for you, definitely. And I can tell you that this is not a new phenomenon this year, but we are working.
No, it's not a new, no. You've inherited it. So whatever I'm saying tonight, you guys inherited this. It has nothing to do with you, your fault. Okay? So let's make that clear. The other thing is, I have the overtime for 2023. I have it, of the total overtime throughout every department. I don't want to know names. I just want the full throughout the departments. I have 23, and I have 22. I'd like to get 24 this past year, and I'd like to get 21 and 20. And with this stuff, I'm going to make a pitch. I'll see the manager, and you guys will find out what's going on, what I know, and maybe we can make changes. Okay? And I'll talk to you, Dan. Maybe you can get it for me. And then I just wanted to know how many firefighters, full-time were here when you first got in. How many, paid full-time guys, and now how many were hired, and how many were whatever. So when you first got in, how many paid firefighters were there? 22 or 21? I don't know.
I'll get that for you. I think there were 18 at the time. Joe, you could confirm that.
When you came in, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay. And then how many total are now?
24, I believe. Right, Joe? Or 23 now? 25.
So we have 25, we had 18.
19.
21 you had, he said.
19.
So you had 20, and you have...
I'll confirm those numbers with you.
Yeah,
Ron.
so I see what you're doing, by hiring
Leave it
the
with 6
overtime.
people.
It lessens the overtime, but maybe in the long run. But listen, this is the thing that's ongoing with the firefighters. This is not final. There's no final with the firefighters. There's no final with the police. There's no final with the CSEA. There's no final, right? The thing is to work for the people. So I just want to get that out there. I'm just beginning my stuff. You guys got another month to start looking at the budget. Paganini's got his own budget.
No, we're looking at it now.
Yeah, you are, huh?
Yes.
All right, I'll talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. James Hodge.
James Hodge, you passing some Twizzlers up there you want to share? I just want to thank the city. I'm speaking my individual capacity as a resident and a taxpayer. Martin Luther King Day was yesterday. As a former board chair and a former board member, thank the city for their help. I miss 3 of the council members that had prior engagements and different events that they did or had. But it was a good event. It was a good march. Thank John McNally for covering and capturing some of that history. And again, Martin Luther King, as was noted, was here a few weeks before he was assassinated and murdered in Memphis, Tennessee. They're fighting on behalf of the sanitation workers and their union. So again, as we speak about the MLK, and we knew, a lot of people wait to Martin Luther King Day and they have a dream and they say nice speeches. As I've said before, you guys said that you were meeting about the lease of the center, and as we were talking about other leases, that's a place, again, that I said before gives refuge to thousands of people over the years and helps out thousands of families. And I don't know the details, but I hope that it will come out soon because it's a public building, public place. And I will always say that the city should negotiate in the best interest of the community as long as the board and all of those that are working along with it. So again, thank you for continuously trying to work with an agency that meets the needs of many people throughout our whole city. I'll continue to stand up. I'll continue to fight for a place that I grew up in, a place that was built on my yard, part of my yard at the time again in 1980 and 81 was the opening. And so I was born, I used to play on the dirt there. And so again, I will just urge any nonprofit in the city of Long Beach, like I fight for the auxiliary police, as a former auxiliary police, these agencies and organizations that do so much when you're in negotiating and when you're thinking about them and when you're writing grants, please look at getting grants and looking at how can we help them do more of what they do to continue helping so many people. Again, thank you for being there, Dan, and thank you to Councilmember Roy Lester and Bendo for being there. And again, he did mention that you guys had prior engagements. So again, thank you, and again, let us continue to celebrate Martin Luther King Day each and every day, because injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere.
Thank you. Mindy Dovberg. Hi.
Hi. So, thanks for calling on me earlier. No, I'm kidding. I'm
sorry.
teasing you. I really, as the teacher of me, listening to all those kids just warmed my heart, and whatever I have to say, just everything, they were echoing everything. So, thank you for that vote. So, last week I slipped on black ice when I was visiting a friend. And as I was driving over here, I saw lots of handicap spots that are not completely shoveled, or whatever you call it. And just because now that I'm recuperating and healing from that slip and fall, thank God it didn't hit my head. But it is extremely dangerous, as we know, black ice, and a handicap spot should at least have, I don't know if you guys put sand, something that can eat away at the ice, but they're all over. And I've come, you guys know, back in city council years ago, I always talked about it, and I kind of thought that it was rectified, but I think it just has to be keep on talking about it every single winter season, that those spots need to be plowed.
That's right.
Thank you.
I'll check on that.
Agree.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cynthia Bernash? Bernashi? She gone? Thanks. Eileen Hessian? Okay. Michael Martin? John Mooney? Jeff Larson? Left, sorry. Christina Kramer? Hi, Christina.
Hello, Happy New Year, everybody. John is not here, but thank you for setting up my peaceful protest. It would have been nice to have somebody from the city speak at our peaceful protest, maybe next time. I'm sure you all know that the president signed an executive order that will halt any additional turbines. We're not sure what that means for Empire Wind 1 because it's already approved and in progress.
It needs more litigation.
Yeah. We're hopeful that each lease gets scrutiny for the environmental cost issues associated with these projects, in addition to removing the subsidies and adding tariffs wherever possible. As our knowledge of turbines has progressed, we've also been forced to learn a little bit about the infrastructure, the high voltage cables, and the BESS, the battery energy storage systems. I just wanted to make sure you're all educated that there is an energy storage proposal for the Island Park area in the town of Hempstead. And while I realize you're not town of Hempstead, you are our first line of defense to the elected officials that are above you and are communicators with those people. Yeah. And it's really important that you understand what's happening. Yes. They say that it's for all kinds of energy, solar, to upgrade the grid, whatever shenanigans they come up with. But we believe that they still want to continue building the infrastructure, Propel New York, and the BESs all over Long Island. And every day we get another group signing on with us because they're finding out that they want to put these battery stations in residential communities. There have been incidences involving these storage facilities, and the recent fire in California, it's a place called Moss Landing in California. They had a huge explosion. They have 100,000 batteries. The people within the community didn't even know that that battery plant was there, most of them. They're having terrible reactions to the smoke plumes, sore throats. Somebody was rushed to the hospital. They had to evacuate the area, 1,500 residents, 8 miles around. Just so you know, we're only 3 miles from where they want to put a BES station, and it's not at Barrett. There's another one called Ryland, and it's right behind the Laundry Palace, like on that service area. So it's really
Somebody lives near there.
well, no, they do. They live right across Island Park in the canal. There have been 13 lithium battery fires in the U.S., and I recently attended a meeting in Seacliff where they said they're planning a BES, and the fire official that they had there said, no, nothing's going to happen until it happens. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I can go through all of the terrible things that happened in California, but you all should, I can send you stuff too. You all really need to update yourselves on what happened in California. I know I'm over time, but I have one last thing to talk about, and that's the meters. A couple of weeks ago when I was here, you guys are talking about putting electronic meters on our homes. Those electronic meters have lithium batteries in them, and they go from 140 degrees to 6,000 degrees. And if they go on fire near a gas line, they're going to blow the houses up. And there's a lot of suspected fires in California that California has the largest capacity of these meters. So while I know you want to save a few pennies on water, you better look into what those meters are made out of. And if it's the lithium batteries, you need to take a second look. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for all that information. Sam Pinto.
Good evening again. Thank you for hearing me. Sam Pinto, Long Beach Professional Firefighters. I just want to clarify my earlier comments about the village or the Atlantic Beach Fire District contract renewal. I was expecting it to be voted in favor. I actually agree that it should be continued. There should be a continued agreement between us and Atlantic Beach. I'm happy to hear that there wasn't an absolute prohibition from the terms of the agreement. I just glad that it's still also a possibility that the city can consider the deployment model for providing those services. Part of what I read in their agreement, just so you know, in comparison to normal mutual aid, when the department goes on mutual aid compared to this agreement, we're backing up other firefighters' fire department. In those places, they already have a fire department responding as their main providers. Right now, Atlantic Beach relies on Long Beach, and the contract is between the city of Long Beach as a whole, and not specifically with either the volunteers or the career. I don't want to take away anything from the volunteers. I think they've added a valuable service in fire protection EMS services. I just want to reiterate that this contract does say that Long Beach should be the primary provider of protection 24/7 for the protection of property for the Atlantic Beach Fire District. The union, back in the Commissioner comment 2023, we heard rumblings of the deployment model and how it was serving Atlantic Beach, and how there's a possibility that there be maybe new negotiations instead of a successor agreement. We offered our services, saying we would do those services for no additional cost for the city. We're not asking for more. It's not an overwhelming amount of alarms that they go there compared to Long Beach. You know, we do 5,000 plus runs a year. Maybe it's another 200. It's probably less of a response than we do to go into some of the senior housing in the area. So it wouldn't be an overwhelming bearing, but it would provide valuable protection to the village of Atlantic Beach in the agreement. And the only reason I also keep reiterating this is because in section 13 of the agreement that says the city shall be solely responsible for maintaining workmen's compensation coverage of their own volunteer firefighters and or paid firefighters and ambulance workers. So there's definitely a consideration that the paid firefighters and ambulance workers be included in this response model. It's just by the choice of I guess, dispatch procedures from the leadership of the department. The individual sitting up on the dais, you're all very smart individuals. I respect your positions. I definitely want to make sure that there's people always in town to protect Long Beach. We know that's very important. But just to keep in mind that sometimes the information that you're learning during whatever process you're doing to prepare yourselves for these votes may not be the complete picture. I think that if you had better information, you can make more sound decisions. And I look forward to increased conversations on this. But hopefully the city can reconsider, or the city in their agreement, renewal agreement, they can consider adding the deployment model to utilize the career firefighters in the event there's an emergency in Atlantic Beach. And they are now reliant on our services. To hold back those services would be tough on that community.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I expect the commissioner is going to speak after me, but we'll see. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe Miller?
Thank you. Again, like I stated before, 35 years we've had a contract with Atlantic Beach. When we did the contract originally, 1990, it was for the volunteer response, and that's what we've done since then. There was never a provision or a need for them to go down because they were here for Long Beach, to guarantee the response in Long Beach. The city provides the same service for East Atlantic Beach, but we're talking 3 or 4 blocks, 5 blocks outside of Long Beach. To send the career force down to the west end of Atlantic Beach, going past the Atlantic Beach Bridge, takes them away from protecting Long Beach, which is where we are and where they should supposed to be. Right now, the volunteers handle the calls. We don't have issues. Our career force is not the primary force for the city or its contracted districts. So we send the units that we believe are necessary and that handle and mitigate all circumstances that we come across. There is no reason to change something if it's not broken. And that's what we've done with Atlantic Beach. That's what we've done with the fire department, and that's what we've done protecting the city.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's our last speaker. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I think Long Beach experienced a milestone today with our new planning board. Thank everybody on the council. We agreed on it, and I think it's going to do great things for Long Beach. So this is an important day for us. And also, we got contracts for the beach, so concessions. Have a great night. Be careful going home. Be safe. It is slippery out there. Have a great night. I said be careful.
Thank you to the whole the planning board team.